Good evening. Okay, so today we are going to cover the important terms pertaining to the ancient and medieval history. We will try to cover till Delhi Sultanate, right? So in today's class, we are going to cover the important aspect. Now, why it need to be covered? Reason simply is that UPSC keeps on asking question about that. There are terms-based question like they had asked regarding Araghat. Last year only they had asked regarding Pradeshika, Rajuka, right? So whenever these term comes and eventually we might have read those particular terms, but क्या होता है कि when it is about answering the question in the examination, chances are high that if you have not revised those terms, तो maybe a chance that you might not be able to recollect or regather your thoughts regarding that. Answer बहुत easy होता है because that particular thing you might have already read, but उस समय पे similar looking answers or options makes you confused. And in that specific scenario, it becomes important in order to have clarity about that why this particular term is going to be the answer, right? So these are no new terms. You might have already read many of these and certain terms which you might not have read, but eventually we are going to have the discussion about these particular terms. Okay? So we'll go chronology wise. I'll talk about the term and I'll briefly discuss about that term because otherwise agar zyada discussion karenge, so in that case the number of terms, because it is roughly around, I would say 500, 600 around terms till Delhi Sultanate, और उसमें भी then it will take a lot of time. ठीक है, इसीलिए we will try to talk briefly about the term, its relevance, and if the question is going to be asked regarding that particular topic, किस तरीके से आ सकते हैं. So certain sample type of things we are going to talk about. ठीक है, this document, like the previous document, this is also going to get uploaded on the portal. ठीक है, so just keep your mind focused towards this. Just have an idea regarding कि if in examination if there is any type of confusion regarding these terms, तो आप कैसे उस particular confusion को overcome करते हुए you will be able to answer this particular question. ठीक है, चलो. So the first set of term, and I have talked about in the chronological aspect. So these particular terms are covered in chronology so that you will be having a clear idea about like how in different time period these particular terms are arranged. क्योंकि जैसे होता है ना कि with respect to the administration or maybe the local administration, there are the similar looking term. जैसे दिल्ली सल्तनत and Mughal Empire, there were similar type of officials and the term gets changed. Even if you see from the ancient history to the modern history, the officials remain same. आज भी आप देखो तो there is district collector. There used to be Ayukt during the time period of the Mauryan Empire, और आज भी वो चीज कंटिन्यू हो रही है. So the administration is still there, the terms got changed, and that's why it is important to understand that what were the terms that were known in the ancient history. So let's start with the first thing, which is the sources of history. Now, with respect to the sources of history, these are certain important terms. Now, the first term is Shruti. Now, you might be knowing already about Shruti. What exactly is Shruti? It is what is heard, but not exactly what is written, right? So Shruti texts are the most basic Vedic text which are basically apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means which is not being written by human being. They are having the divine origin. So what all comes under the Shruti literature? Shruti के अंदर क्या क्या आता है? It is including the Ved which were orally transmitted and later on they were codified and they were physically written down. So it includes the Samhita literature. It includes the Brahmins, it includes the Aranyaks, and eventually over a period of time these were written. Now you should not think कि भाई वेद तो लिखे भी गए हैं, but they were later point of time. Initially that used to be the oral tradition. So Shruti means what is heard. Clear है? The next term is Smriti. Now what exactly is Smriti? Smriti is basically the follow-up text to that particular thing. So it is what is remembered. Smriti होता है ना कि what you exactly remember, right? So they are the further text. So in context of the Vedic literature, these are considered as the Shruti. But the further text, like there are Dharma Shastra, which also includes the Artha Shastra and many other texts that are there, they are part of this, including the Manusmriti and all. Then there are epics. Specifically, if we talk about Itihas, that includes the Ramayana and Mahabharata, so they are also the Smriti literature. Then there are different type of Purans. They were mainly codified during the time period of the Gupta age, right? So this is the Smriti literature. Next is the interpolation. Now what exactly is interpolation? Interpolation means the later insertion. Means suppose karo, there were certain basic premises, there were certain basic text. Now over a period of time, there were some changes. Just if I give you an example of the Rig Veda. Now in Rig Veda there are different mandal. Yes or no? So in those particular mandals, सारे mandals एक ही समय पर नहीं लिखे गए हैं. There were certain mandals which were the older ones, roughly from 2 to 8, and then there were certain mandals which were later incorporated, like the 10th mandal, which includes about the Purush Sukta, and that gives an idea regarding the Varna system. So that was later addition, and that later addition is known as the interpolation within the text. So this is the interpolation, later insertion into the text during the transmission. Next is a Tripitak. Now these are the sources of history. That's why you are seeing across the ages there are different sources of history that we are writing simultaneously. After this we are going from the Stone Age till the Delhi Sultanate, right? Now Tripitak is associated with which particular religion? Buddhism. Now Tripitak includes what all thing? It includes the Sutta Pitak, it includes the Vinay Pitak, it includes the Abhidhamma Pitak. What exactly is Sutta Pitak? Sutta Pitak is talking about what exactly has been said by Buddha. So it is the Buddha's teachings. Now Buddha's teachings are provided in the form of different Nikayas, right? So this is basically the Sutta Pitak. So it is the Buddha's teaching, it is the Buddha's discourse. Now next is the Vinay Pitak. Now Vinay Pitak talks about the rules of the monasteries, right? So within monastery there were different monks and nuns, and when they were residing, obviously they had to follow certain type of conduct, and those particular conducts were being codified in the form of the Vinay Pitak. And if you know that this Vinay Pitak was the basic reason जिस वजह से Buddhism में Shiism आए. Shiism means the split within the Buddhism. So how the Buddhism got split between the Mahasanghikas and the Theravadins, and eventually later on also, because this is the Vinay Pitak. Ab now there are different people who are residing in monastery. Some people thought ki bhai let's accumulate wealth. Some people said ki let's not accumulate wealth, live the ascetic life. So basically there is a differentiation of rule. कुछ ने बोला कि पैसा अपने पास रखना चाहिए. Some said कि we should not accumulate wealth. Some said possess the gold. Some said possess the land. And certain people said do not possess the land. Believe in the original teachings of Buddha. And that's why these particular Vinay Pitak or the monastic rules eventually led to the differentiation within the different sects of Buddhism. और इस वजह से Shiism got introduced in the Buddhism. Now last is the Abhidhamma Pitak. Now this Abhidhamma Pitak was later compiled after the third Buddhist council. So within the third Buddhist council, which was under the patronage of which ruler? Ashok. Okay. So Abhidhamma Pitak was compiled by that point of time, or basically Abhidhamma Pitak talks about the philosophical interpretation of the Buddha's teachings. So this Sutta Pitak is about the discourse, what Buddha exactly said. Abhidhamma Pitak is basically the interpretation of that. So it talks about the holistic set of idea regarding the Buddha's teaching. So philosophical doctrine also got incorporated. Next is the Itihas. Now Itihas, what has already happened, right? So the Itihas mein, if you got certain terms, like what all part of Itihas, so basically what all part of history, that is part of Itihas, but specifically the Ramayana and Mahabharata is incorporated as the part of Itihas. It is the written part, written tradition. We have seen the Shruti and Smriti, and now this is the Itihas. Now last term in this is the Boustrophodon. Now Boustrophodon is the type of writing or the style of writing. What type of writing? किस तरीके से लिखी जाती है Boustrophodon? It is the alternate direction में. Means one line you will write this, then this, then this. Now if you talk about, let's say you talk about Brahmi script या Kharoshti script, they were written in certain specific terms. जैसे Brahmi अगर आप लिखोगे तो you will write like this. Kharoshti when you will write from here. ठीक है? So there will be changes observed, but Boustrophodon में क्या होता है? You are seeing in both. So predominantly, I am not saying absolutely, but predominantly it is considered to be associated with the IVC script. So IVC में जो हमें script मिली है, which is yet not deciphered properly, because Brahmi was deciphered by James Princip, but then whatever you have got in the form of IVC script, that is not yet deciphered, and that is the pictographic type of script, right? So this is the terms regarding the literary sources of history. Now with respect to the sources of history, there are many other terms. जैसे there are archaeological sources. So archaeological sources में first is the epigraphy. What exactly is epigraphy? It is about the study of inscriptions. Now inscriptions can be on the palm leaves also. Inscriptions can be on the stone walls also. It can be on the metals also. That's why you are getting different type of inscriptions. Jaise in the Aihole, if you see on the Meguti temple, Meguti is a Jain temple in Aihole. There is an inscription, and that particular inscription is the inscription of Pulkeshin Dvitiya. And what that particular inscription is about his victory over Harshvardhan. So Harshvardhan was the ruler of the Uttar part. Uttar part is which particular region? The northern part of India. And Pulkeshin, who was a Chalukya ruler, he was the ruler of the Dakshin part. Dakshin part is the Deccan and the southern India. इस तरीके से भी term पूछ सकती है. So there was conflict between them. Once Harsh was aspiring to control the Dakshin part, he went towards this particular region, जहां पर he met with the forces of Pulkeshin Dvitiya. Then Pulkeshin Dvitiya defeated him, and his court poet, who was Ravi Kirti. So Ravi Kirti inscribed that particular Aihole inscription, जहां पे that is inscribed on a temple wall. इसी तरीके से if you observe in the Chola temples, have you heard of the temple Brihadishwar temple or the Rajarajeshwar temple? Right? There are inscriptions. So if you observe that on the जो अधिष्ठान है उस temple का, अधिष्ठान is the base, not the upraised platform, the base of the temple, जहां से temple actually शुरू हो जाता है. So on the अधिष्ठान there is a large inscription of more than 1,000 lines, and that inscription gives an idea regarding the process that were followed during that point of time. The systems that were functioning, जैसे देवदासी system, so that is also being inscribed. Those who were the people who constructed that temple, वो सारी चीजें लिखी हैं. So this is the inscription. So that gives an idea regarding the कि what exactly had happened. But then, who is writing these inscriptions? Generally those people who are patronized by that ruler. तो chances है कि वो biased हो सकता है. Yes or no? So that's why whenever we are interpreting the history, it is not the sole source. There may be multiple other sources. Scriptures may be one, inscription is there, then there are many other things which you are eventually going to collaborate, and then the history ka decoding is being done. Okay? So inscription is one of the prominent one. Then there is a paleography. So over a period of time, there are different ancient scripts, and these scripts got evolved. जैसे if you might have heard of one prominent inscription, that is the inscription of Rudradaman I. Which is that inscription? Any idea? Rudradaman I का inscription कौन सा था? The Girnar rock inscription, where he talked about the repairing of the Sudarshan lake. Yes or no? So it is the inscription of Rudradaman I. Now which particular language this inscription is written? So उसमें बहुत सारी languages है, because during the time period of Mauryans also, that there was addition of the Chandragupta Maurya ने जब वो सुदर्शन लेक का construction करवाया during his reign, that is also being inscribed over there. But then the predominant aspect of that inscription is in the chaste Sanskrit. Chaste Sanskrit is the primitive type of Sanskrit. Now, आज जो आप संस्कृत लिखते हो, today what type of Sanskrit you are writing, that Sanskrit is not exactly similar to that. There may be certain words, but the script more or less it got changed. So there has been an evolution. So that's why the study of ancient scripts and their evolution is known as the paleography. So the term paleography is being utilized for understanding the ancient scripts and their evolution. Next is the prashasti. प्रशस्ति होता है ना कि किसी की बढ़ाई कर रहे हो आप, you are writing about someone, so it is about the inscription only. Generally you are seeing that inscription in the form of prashasti, and generally those inscriptions which are being written by either their court poets या खुद वो राजा ने ही लिखा है. जैसे there is प्रयाग प्रशस्ति. What is प्रयाग प्रशस्ति? Allahabad pillar inscription. Now Allahabad pillar inscription में you find the Ashok also, you find Samudragupta also, you find Jahangir also. So that is the prashasti that is being written by those people who were associated with that particular individual. So it is the eulogistic inscription praising the rulers. So generally, obviously, जब उसका court poet ही लिखेगा, so that is going to be the praise of that particular ruler, like the developmental work that were being done by that particular ruler, या maybe any other type of task. जैसे Rudradaman I had written in the Girnar rock inscription about how he utilized his own money. It's not the money that was taken after the collection of taxes. It is his own money that he have utilized in order to repair the Sudarshan lake. So that gives an idea regarding what type of ruler that was. कि भाई benevolent ruler है, oppressive ruler है, right? So all these things it is going to be talked about. जैसे प्रयाग प्रशस्ति है. Next is the numismatics. Now what is numismatics? It is the study of coins. अब न्यूमिस्मेटिक्स भी ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम इट गिव्स एन आइडिया रिगार्डिंग व्हाट टाइप ऑफ मटेरियल वाज बीइंग यूज्ड. जैसे इफ यू सी ड्यूरिंग द टाइम पीरियड ऑफ द मौर्यंस देयर वाज कारशापन, means there were punch marked type of coins. Gradually over a period of time the ruler started inscribing their own name, their own photos on the coins. So you find Indo-Greeks. Ab Indo-Greeks started incorporating their own portraits. You find the one side profile. आप देखते हो ना कि ये राजा का एक तरफ का प्रोफाइल दैट इज मेंशन्ड ऑन द कॉइन. नाउ दैट यू स्टार्टेड गेटिंग द गोल्ड कॉइन्स. सो इंडो-ग्रीक्स इंट्रोड्यूस द गोल्ड कॉइन्स फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. उसके पहले ऐसा नहीं था कि कॉइन्स नहीं थे, बट व्हाट यू आर कंसीडरिंग कॉइन्स. अ पीस ऑफ मेटल इज नॉट अ कॉइन. इफ इट इज अ कॉइन इट हैज टू बी एसोसिएटेड विद दैट पर्टिकुलर रूलर. और वो आप पता कैसे करोगे? इफ दैट इज वाइडली इन सर्कुलेशन, दैट वाज वाइडली इन सर्कुलेशन एंड देयर वर इंस्टेंसेस ऑफ द सिमिलर टाइप ऑफ कॉइन एट डिफरेंट प्लेसेस. मतलब एक ही प्लेस पे या अलग अलग प्लेसेस पे सिमिलर टाइप के आपको चीजें मिलेंगी. सो दैट मे बी कंसीडर्ड एज अ टाइप ऑफ करेंसी. अदरवाइज तो वो एक तरीके का पीस ऑफ मेटल है, राइट? सो कारशापन माइट नॉट बी द ट्रू टाइप ऑफ कॉइन, इट इज द type of coin that were introduced by the Indo-Greeks. उसे हम true coins कहेंगे because there was use of the Raja or the king's face also on that particular coin. So that's why after the Indo-Greeks we started getting the coins. And Indo-Greeks के they were the first to introduce the gold coin, the highest quality gold coin. There is a confusion that whether they were the Kushans or the Indo-Greeks जिन्होंने gold coin issue किया. So gold coins were issued by the Indo-Greeks for the first time. But it is the Kushan who issued it in the numbers. मतलब that shows the wealth of that particular empire. आप just assume करो that there is a king. Related to that particular king, you get 1, 2, 4, 5 coins. And there is another king related to that particular king. You get comparatively lesser quality of gold coins, but in larger circulation, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 coins. So that gives an idea कि भाई ये widely circulation में थे. So Kushans were the ones who have introduced it in a large numbers. It is Indo-Greeks who have initiated for the first time. So it is the numismatics. Now you get to know about the polity, economy, religion, metallurgy. Now yesterday only, I think 1 or 2 days back, there is a step well that is found in near the Elephanta cave. Elephanta Island पे आपको एक step well मिला है. वहां पर कुछ coins मिले. Now they are basically the type of copper coins और वो किससे associated है? कालाचूरी dynasty. Now because of that, you should be having an idea regarding कि भाई कालाचूरी dynasty क्या है. ठीक है? So इस तरीके से current affairs वाली चीजें भी important है with respect to numismatics. Then there is ethno-archaeology. Now, ethno-archaeology is simply basically a term that is being utilized by understanding the present societies linking the past. कि आज जैसे मान लो right now the individual is behaving in certain manner. Now through this particular type of study we can bridge that particular gap कि भाई पहले भी इस तरीके की अगर situation थी तो human का behavior was like this. So it is studying the gap between the past communities and present communities by understanding the nature of the present communities. ठीक है कि पास्ट में उन चीजों के रिस्पॉन्स कैसे थे. सो दिस इज द एथनो आर्कियोलॉजी. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज, नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट विद द एज वाइज. नाउ द फर्स्ट इज द प्री हिस्टोरिक और द लिथिक एजेस. नाउ दिस लिथिक कम्स फ्रॉम द स्टोन, राइट? व्हाई इट इज द प्री हिस्टोरिक? बिकॉज we do not get the written evidences. There were no much written evidences available with respect to this age. What we are getting for this particular age is the things that we are seeing on the walls of different caves. That were the type of drawings that were being done by those cavemen जैसे लाखुदियार in the Uttarakhand or maybe Bhimbetka in the region of Madhya Pradesh. So generally on the banks of river there were certain caves जहां पर you are finding these type of things. उसे भी अगर आप inscription बोलो, but they are not the true inscription because there is no language used. They are the individuals का drawing. ठीक है? That is also giving a lot of idea regarding what was the society, what was the polity, economy during that point of time to some extent. Next, the term is the bipedalism. Now bipedalism means once the humans started utilizing the rear 2 feet, eventually from the 4 legs to the 2 legs, and eventually humans started getting upright. So that is the bipedalism, ability to walk on the 2 legs. अब जैसे ही आपने you have started walking on the 2 legs, now there are other 2 legs which were the previously legs, now they got free, and eventually now you can utilize these for certain other purposes. So the tool development got initiated, and that's why the Homo habilis were the ones who have initiated the tool development for the first time. So it is the Homo habilis, you can attribute them with the tool making human being. Next is the Homo erectus. Now this is the upright human being. So this is the first human being who was fully upright. So once you have started utilizing the tool, now eventually you will have to hunt for your foods and other needs, right? And eventually you have to run. Now in the upright position, obviously you will get comparatively more stability, and that's why the Homo erectus, they were the upright or the fully upright human. And then there are Homo sapiens sapiens, they are the modern human beings. So they are equivalent to the modern human beings. Just a brief idea regarding these terms. Next is the classification of ages. So Paleolithic, it is the what type of age, and what is the classification of the Paleolithic age? And is there further classification in this particular age also? This is the early type of stone age, right? So lithic means the stone, जैसे मैंने बताया. So it is the early stone age, right? So in this particular type of stone age, the individual is right now living in the glacial time period. यहाँ पर there is the region that was comparatively permafrost, and interglacial cycles चल रही थी, like it was completely frozen and then eventually there was thawing, then there was frozen, there was thawing. So this type of glacial cycles were going on. So it was a Pleistocene epoch. So it was a Pleistocene epoch जहाँ पर you are getting the glacial cycles. Now during this particular time period, and we can say roughly it was the 3 million years to roughly 10,000 BCE ke around. This is the time period when we can say it is the Paleolithic. Now Paleolithic can be further divided into three parts. There is the lower Paleolithic, middle and the upper Paleolithic. And during this time period, you will see that the blunt tools were mainly being utilized, or the order one type of tools. Matlab, they were very primitive tools. जैसे bifacial axes, ठीक है, there were some scrapers, there were chisels type of instrument, but they were not that sharp. Later on, for the better hunting, better gathering, now the humans started utilizing certain modern type of tools, and they were the stone tools with the small stone flake tools, and eventually the animal bone tools that were started getting utilized. So in the Mesolithic age, there was the use of the microliths, the small, in centimeters, roughly 2 to 4 centimeter type ke tools that were being utilized by the individual for hunting and gathering. And that's why in the Mesolithic age, you can see that from the hunter and gatherer completely to the human being started residing at certain places. Also, it was not a complete settlement, but it was a semi-sedentary type of life that the individual started living. So it was not a completely settled life, because that life was available in the Neolithic age, and this Neolithic age is also known as the Neolithic Revolution. So Neolithic Revolution was about that humans started residing at one place, then he started domestication of many things, including many animals and all, for the food needs, for many other needs, right? And eventually then the settled life also resulted in the rise of agriculture. तो यहाँ से agriculture की भी शुरुआत होती है. So this is the Neo is new, so it is the new stone age. So roughly till the time period of your roughly 2000 year BCE, वहां तक का आपको time period is the roughly you can assume that continued, because eventually over a period of time you will observe that it is roughly going till 2000 or 2500 BCE के around. And after that, there was, because in the Neolithic age, now you started living at one place, now there will be certain type of political organization, क्योंकि जब आप साथ में रहोगे, there will be need for even the dispute resolution between different individuals, there will be certain form of the settled economy, there will be rise of society, and that will eventually result into the rise of a civilization. और वहां से there was rise of civilization in the form of the Indus Valley civilization. So that resulted in the rise of urbanization, and that is considered as the first urbanization that the humanity had seen. Roughly first urbanization, because similar contemporary time period pe you were observing urbanization at different other places like the Sumer, Mesopotamia and all, right? Next is simultaneously there was rise of the Chalcolithic, when the humans started utilizing the metal also. So which was the metal first utilized by human? It was the copper. So simultaneously copper bhi use ho raha hai, and the lith means the stone is also being utilized, so that's why it is the copper stone age. So you have started seeing this particular age roughly to the sites which are very near to the region of the IVC sites. इसीलिए द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ द चालकोलिथिक साइट्स, वेदर इट इज अहर, वेदर इट इज द बनास टाइप ऑफ कल्चर, वेदर इट इज कायथा कल्चर और ओसीपी कल्चर, यू आर सीइंग दीज पर्टिकुलर साइट्स रफली नियर टू दैट, एक्सेप्ट द ओसीपी साइट जो कि गैंगेटिक वैली में आपको मिलती है, विच आर कंपैरेटिवली डिस्टेंट, राइट. सो दिस इज द स्टोन एज रिलेटेड classification. Now what are the different type of tools जिसके basis पे terms पूछे जा सकते हैं? So there were Herculean tools. So Herculean tools are basically the primitive type of tools. These are the primitive tools. स्टोन से बने हुए होते थे, जनरली देवर द बाइफेशियल टाइप ऑफ एक्सेस. जैसे अज्यूम करो दिस टाइप ऑफ थिंग इज देयर, जहां पर इट इज like getting narrowed on both sides, दोनों तरफ से नैरो हो रहा है. So like right now you might be using knife, तो वो जनरली एक साइड से पहना होता है, right? So it is having the bifacial. ठीक है. So these were the Herculean type of tools. अब इसमें chisels थे, scrapers थे, right? These were the tools that were being utilized. Next is the microlith. Micro, the smaller one, right? So 2 to 4 centimeter type के tools that were started getting utilized by the human being, microliths, right? Next is stratigraphy. Now stratigraphy is basically strati is about the stratus or the layers, and it is about the layers of the soil and different layers of soil, because after the study of different layers of soil, what you are going to get, you are going to get an idea regarding what is the composition of that particular layer. If you are getting certain type of organism in that, you can identify from that particular organism's age that how before present day this particular soil was formed. ठीक है. So through stratigraphy you will be getting the chronology. ठीक है. Next, there are certain other prominent terms associated with the Paleolithic age and the other ages or the Lithic ages. First is the totemism. So what exactly is totemism? Any idea? Means associating ourselves with a certain animal or certain type of trees, right? So it is believed that animal plant ancestors representing a clan. So it is जैसे होता है ना कई बार कि this is the sacred grove. अब sacred grove means this is a type of patron कि till the point of time this tree is there, we are living. If the day tree is going to be cut, it will be like taking the shed out of us. तो eventually वो इसलिए भी बनाए गए क्योंकि we had to protect the environment, we had to protect the surroundings, and that's why. And right now also you see in the tribal regions this particular totemism type of practice is getting, मतलब it is functional, right? Next is animism. Animism is simply the practice जहां पर it says that all the entities, including the animal, including the plants, including other things, all of them, even including non-living ones, they are having the life. So it is like the animal, plant, rock, river, every other thing like the weather system, they have with the spirits. Means they do have certain aspect of life. Next is the grave goods. So grave goods, again, not a specific terms, but generally you are able to see the grave goods along with that. और ये even in the megalithic culture which was observed in the southern part of India, or even in the IVC culture, you are able to see the grave goods even in the Chalcolithic age. So if there is a question asking about that which among the following ages or which among the following time period in history you see the grave goods, these particular grave goods were available across the ages. Now what was the significance of these type of grave goods? This gives an idea regarding afterlife, because the way the grave goods are arranged, अब ऐसा नहीं था कि, and this is also giving an idea regarding society, because if the grave is having the goods in the form of, let's say, pottery या बहुत minuscule type of चीजें, you can assume that that person might not be that rich, but then there were grave goods जिसके आसपास there was gold, silver, these type of things, or not exactly gold, silver, but इस तरीके के metals वाली चीजें मिली. There were a lot of other things that gives an idea regarding the afterlife, and that gives an idea regarding the social stratification also, that this might be the clan ka leader. That's why there are a lot of things that were associated with that particular grave. Okay? So this is regarding the Lithic ages or the prehistoric time period. Now we are coming to the proto-history. Now in this particular time period, what you started getting? You started getting some script. Means something is written. But proto-history says that there is something written, but we are not able to decipher. So through our limited set of knowledge, we are not yet deciphered the script, which is the pictographic script of IVC. And also the style or the writing style, Bostrofedon, that we have already read about. So this is the manner in which the IVC script was being written, right? So still we have not yet deciphered. Now proto-history we have already talked about, it is the undeciphered script. Next there are certain places, just there is Meluha. Meluha, the term that is being utilized for which particular region? It is for the region of the द मेसोपोटामिया, ठीक है. सो देयर इज रीजन ऑफ मिलुआ, देन देयर इज दिलमन. Dilmun is used for what? Dilmun is the name used for the Bahrain. Now, the Bahrain or the Red Sea region was one of the predominant region which was the trade point. क्योंकि once human arrived from the region of Africa, that was the region जिसको पार करके individual आया. Now, obviously, it was not the ship based, but it was mainly through the land. So, from Africa to Sinai Peninsula, through the Middle Eastern region, and eventually the human arrived at different places. Right. So these are the regions which are very, very important. Now there is Magan. Again, this is the term that is used for the Oman and UAE. This is the region of Oman and UAE. And these were utilized generally for trade. So if you read the books like the Periplus of Erythraean Sea, वो books बताती हैं कि these are the regions that were existing in this particular part of world. So Periplus of Erythraean Sea is one of the important sources written by the unknown Greek author. उसके author का पता नहीं है, but this particular book, Periplus of Erythraean Sea, talks about the trade between the Rome and India. Along with that, the intermediate trades also. So these books related sources can also be asked. Next is the Logo-Slavic script. So Logo-Slavic script basically includes both the type of things. It includes the syllables also, means individual. अब देखो ये script कैसे रहती है, that there are certain type of designs that are representing sometimes some letters also, and sometimes they represent the complete word. जैसे in the English when you write A, B, C, D, E. Each and everything is letter. Then if you have to make a word, you have to combine them. 2 word, 3 word, 4 word, 5 word, depending upon the words, right? But in this case, they may be the individual syllables also. And sometimes this particular thing is even including the comprehensive word. So Logo-Slavic script includes both things. For representing the word also, there is a single word, and then for representing word, for representing a letter also. So letter और word दोनों ही symbols के through depict किए जाते हैं. Clear? So this is the Logo-Slavic script. Next, regarding urban planning, there are terms which everyone knows. There is citadel. Citadel generally on the western part of the city, comparatively upraised platform. It is considered as it is comparatively more politically dominated region, जहाँ पर maybe political elites or maybe merchant or maybe those who are the influential people, those used to reside. And this also gives an idea regarding the social disparity pertaining in that particular region, है ना? क्योंकि comparatively uplifted region है. Then there is lower town where the general or the common people used to reside. So this is the lower town. Next is the region of Great Bath. So Great Bath is associated with which particular region? Mohenjo-daro, right? So it is observed कि भाई this was the place which might be utilized for the ritual sacrifices, because the way it is arranged, the way the rooms nearby are associated, right? So the draining pattern and all these things are associated with this. Next is certain artifacts that were observed in IVC time period. So there is a zebu cattle. So zebu cattle is the hummed type of bull that you are able to observe in the region of IVC. Okay? So zebu cattle is there. Apart from that, there is the lost wax technique, sir pardue also it is known, right? So this is the technique for the bronze casting. Now similar to that, later on the Dokra craft, this Dokra craft is the modern form of the lost wax technique. And eventually during the different time period of the ages, this technique was being utilized, and eventually right now also this is the general technique that is utilized for the creation of certain type of copper bronze type of artifacts, right? So this is the lost wax technique and the Dokra craft. Then there were certain fire altars also. Now objective इसलिए है इंक्लूड करने का क्योंकि यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा था एक. यूपीएससी had asked a question regarding the awareness regarding the horses to the IVC people, and in that particular statement they said कि भाई ये नहीं था, मतलब people of IVC were not aware regarding the horses, but then there were certain bones similar looking to horses that were available or that were found in the region of Surkotada. So it was identified because there were two sets of conflicting views, क्योंकि वो domesticated type of animal था, and it was said कि भाई ये mule के bones हो सकते हैं, it is not the true horse, and that's why UPSC also marked this particular statement as wrong. So अगर fire altar के बारे में question आता है, though you might have already right कि भाई वहाँ पर ritual practices नहीं थे, because we did not got any such evidences, but if there is a question, since the fire altars are available, it can also not be denied. though there were no availability of any such instances because we have yet not deciphered that particular script, but still the fire altars are available at certain places, including the Kalibangan and Lothal. तो मे बी रिचुअल सैक्रिफाइसेस या रिचुअल पर्पसेस के लिए यूज हो सकता है, बट वी डिड नॉट गॉट मच एविडेंसेस एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी कैन से कि ठीक है बट दे वर अवेलेबल. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज सर्टेन इंपॉर्टेंट साइट्स. नाउ दीज आर नॉट ऑब्वियसली टर्म्स बट इंपॉर्टेंट साइट. आई थॉट कि इट नीड्स टू बी इंक्लूडेड बिकॉज यूपीएससी कीप्स ऑन आस्किंग क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस. They keeps on asking and there are certain important facts. जैसे let's talk about these one by one. Harappa. Now the Harappa is associated with the region of granary. There are multiple number of granaries, but the great granary was found in the region of Mohenjo-daro. So there were number of granaries that were found in this region of Harappa, but not the great granary. सबसे बड़ी जो granary है that was available in the region of Mohenjo-daro. Now there were cemeteries also. So R37 is the mature Harappan type of cemetery that was observed. And there is another type of cemetery which is known as the H type cemetery. So H is for the post Harappan type period. So दो तरीके की cemetery जो कि graveyard you can also say. So they were observed. It is R37 type and the H type. So H type is associated with the post Harappan or the later Harappan time period. R37 is associated with the mature Harappan time period. तो जो Harappan practices थी या those which were the prominent site of Harappa, those type of practices were there. Then there were grid patterns generally associated with urban planning, right? Next is Mohenjo-daro, great bath. There is dancing girl and the priest king. Both are associated with the region of Mohenjo-daro. Next is the region of Kalibangan. Now these two sites are in the present day Pakistan. Kalibangan, where Kalibangan is situated? Rajasthan. ठीक है. So plot field is there. There is availability of the fire altar. There is availability of the camel bones also. So with the Rajasthan, we can assume that yes, there might be availability of the camel also. Next is the Lothal and Dholavira. Both are situated in which particular state? Gujarat. So there is a dockyard available. There a dockyard available है. There were even availability of the hinterland connectivity type के drains. जैसे from the port region to the hinterland region, there are connecting drains that are observed. So dockyard है. Dockyard for the trade purpose you can utilize. Now there should be certain type of industry. So this is the bead making workshops that were observed in this region. Similarly, Dholavira में it is a city which is divided into three parts. Not only the citadel and the lower town, there is a middle town also that was being found over here. Now the next is the other than that there is a reservoir also and even there were signboard. Very very important thing because UPSC ने इसके बारे में question पूछा हुआ है. That there were signboards available means it can be regarding directions, it can be regarding certain other things. So it can be considered as the primitive type of inscription. Signboard भी तो कुछ बता रहा है, right? We do not exactly know that what it is representing, but yes, it is giving an idea regarding certain things which was written but not yet deciphered. Rakhi Gadi in the region of Haryana, the largest site that is observed. Banawali again in Haryana, there is a terracotta plough that was observed. So there is availability of the plough also. Now there may be, if there is a question regarding that, regarding textile, were they aware? Regarding the cotton, were they aware? Yes, because the spindle holes and the textile related things जो होती हैं वो भी मिली हैं. That's why we can say they were available. Then Surkotada. Now this is not exactly the horse remains as per UPSC also. So it is, that's why I've written it debated, right? So it's still, it is not clarified yet. But then Surkotada is situated in the region of Gujarat, the Kutch region में, ठीक है, compact and the fortified type of citadel. Next is the Chanudaro, where it is situated in India? No, it is in the Pakistan region, Chanudaro, ठीक है. So it was a craft center and it is famous for there was no citadel available on this region. So Chanudaro में citadel नहीं था. So just identify if there are certain type of disparities observed from the conventional practices of IVC, वो ज़्यादा chances है कि UPSC पूछ सकता है. Next is the Shortugai. Shortugai is in the region of Afghanistan. So this is the Afghanistan side. यहाँ पे lapis. अब Afghanistan, if you know Afghanistan, so you can also see that lapis lazuli is one such thing which these people used to import from the region of Afghanistan. So lapis lazuli trade is an important feature regarding this. ठीक है. So this is regarding the sites of IVC. Now, next is the important age which is the Vedic age. ठीक है. Now, regarding Vedic age, सबसे important जो चीज है, and we got to know roughly majority of the things regarding Vedic age is through the literature of the Vedic age. Now, the Vedic age में, the literature that you are seeing over here, we have already talked about the literature which is known as the Shruti. Now, Shruti type of literature, which was part of the oral tradition, it was Aparushya, means it was not a human origin, it was a divine origin literature, right? And that is also sometimes known as Samhita. So, the four Veda combinedly, they are known as the Samhita. So, this is the core literature of the Vedic age. Now, it includes the Rigved, Samaved, Yajurved, and the Atharvaved. Now, Rigved is the most primitive one, the most oldest one, right? And this is the oldest Ved. Roughly 1024 plus hymns hai isme, and this talks about the natural forces. It talks about the Indra, it talks about Agni. ठीक है? So these are the natural forces, even about the Som. Right? Now साम वेद में it is not the original वेद, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि इसमें original, इसके अपने अलग से बहुत ज्यादा टेक्स्ट हैं. The verses are being taken from here only. Verses of the Samved were part of the Rigved only, and they were put to the musical melodies. मतलब उन्हें chanting कैसे करना, how that have to be chanted, those particular things are being highlighted. So out of the total जो verses हैं, उसमें 1000 plus verses were exactly taken from the Rigved and they were put to the music. So that's why it is known as one of the earliest of the primitive texts with respect to the music in India. So the development of music in India also have to give the attribute to the Samaved. Right. Next is the Yajurved. Now Yajurved talks about the ritual practices, that how a ritual has to be performed, what should be the formula of that particular ritual, and that is also divided into two parts. It is the Shukla Yajurved and the Krishna Yajurved. Right. So Shukla and the Krishna Yajurved are the further classification of the Yajurved. And last in this is the Atharvaved. Now generally it was considered that it is not a true Ved because it was added later on, but yes, Atharvaved is also considered to be part of the Samhita literature, and that's why combinedly all these are known as the Samhitas. So the Vedic literature mein Brahmans, Aranyaks, Upanishads, Vedang, all these things also comes, but Samhita literature mein generally these are the Rigved, Samaved, Yajurved and the Atharvaved. Now Yajurved talks about the ritual formula, Atharvaved talks about the magic, charms, spells, the day-to-day life wali cheezein, right? So all these things are part of the Atharvaved. Okay? And the Samhita is combining all these. Now next is the Brahmans, another Vedic literature. Agar question aata Vedic literature, so these are also part of the Vedic literature. Galat nahi hoga, this is correct. But this is not the Samhita literature. The Vedic literature hai, but Samhita literature nahi hai. So Vedic literature mein the next is the Brahmins. Now what exactly is Brahmins? Now you have already talked about that there are some hymns which is praising certain god, praising certain forces. You have talked about that how to chant, how to sing that particular thing. You have talked about the ritual formula, that there have to be fire altar, there have to be this particular dimension of the fire altar. Aapko itni baar chant karna hai. All these things are provided in the Yajurved, and the Atharvaved talks about certain other things like the magic, charm, spells. Now once there is a householder, generally किससे expected है that those should follow these type of rituals? It is the householders. So these are the rules for the householders. The Brahmins are the rules for the householders or the ritual explanation. If there is any yagna, any type of ritual that has to be performed, so how that particular ritual has to be performed. So it deals with the how aspect. कैसे perform करना है? There will be a need for fire altar, you will need this much samagri, you will need all these things. All these are part of the Brahman. So it explains that how that has to be performed. Now, after this, exactly har koi to householder nahi hoga. There are stages of life. There will be brahmacharya, there will be grahast, there will be vanaprasth, and then there will be sannyas. So these were the 4 stages of life, right? Now, those who are part of grahastha, they can perform these type of elaborate rituals. But what about those people who are the wanderers, or who are those people who have relinquished their house? उन्होंने अपना घर त्याग दिया है, now they are residing in the forest region. So those can't perform these type of elaborate rituals, right? So for them, अगर suppose करो, if I say कि भाई, if you have to perform this ritual, you will need, let's say, 1 kg of ghee, or maybe this much number of votes, or maybe a lot of other things. अब now those who are residing in the forest region, अब उनके पास ये सारी चीजें कहाँ से आएंगी? So that gives an idea regarding the Aranyaks. So Aranyaks are providing a bridge between the Brahmins and the Upanishads. Means now from the ritual performance, you are moving towards the philosophical aspect. How say you are moving towards why that has to be performed, and if there is any alternative. So suppose karo, if those people who were residing in household, they can perform with, let's say, 1 kg of ghee. Now for the forest dweller, since it is aranyak, that is for the forest dwellers. Now that particular individual can utilize the alternative samagri that is available. So this gives an idea that why it has to perform. So it is moving towards the philosophical aspect now. And that's why it is known as the bridge between the Brahmins and Upanishads. That means the Upanishads are going to be the most philosophical aspect, right? So these are talking about the philosophy. Now in that particular philosophy, what it says, it talks about the Atma, it talks about Brahma. That means there is a superior or the universal soul, and then there are individual soul. What exactly is the relation between them? And since this is the last aspect of the Vedic literature, it is also known as the Vedanta. So Vedanta literature is based upon the Upanishads or the Upanishadic teaching. And that's why you will see whether it is the Advaita Vedanta or Dvaita Vedanta or Vishishta Advaita Vedanta or the further development, all of these are dealing with the question of Atma and Brahma. That what exactly is Atma, what exactly is Brahma, how both are related. Whether both are reality and the separate entity, or both are the unique a single entity, right? So this is the Upanishad. So philosophical text which is talking about the concepts like Brahma and the Atma. Next is the Vedang. So the Vedang is basically Ved and Ang. So Ved ke jo Ang hai. Now if there is a Vedic literature, let's say there is any of the Vedic text. Now what you have to do, you have to chant that. For that obviously you will have to first know regarding how to pronounce that particular thing. So आपको pronunciation पता होना चाहिए, and that's why this is including shiksha. Then how to sing that particular Vedic thing. So for that you will need chand or the meter that gives an idea regarding how to recite that particular aspect. Then there is a vyakaran, means if there are 3-4 words, how that words are related. Whether it is in past, past, present or future term, किस तरीके से होगा, for that there will be need for vyakaran. And then there is need for nirukta, क्योंकि words right now, if we are sitting in the 21st century, we are reciting those things which were written roughly around 1500 BC के around. अब उन चीजों में words के meaning got change, and that's why the nirukta talks about the etymology, which is basically the exact meaning from that particular time and space context, and then only it will be utilizable, right? Then there is kalpa, which is talking about the rituals, and jyotish, which talks about the alignments of the star, means the time and space. So these are the 6 Vedang. That's why they are known as the Vedangas. Next is the Upaved. What exactly is Upaved? They are the subsidiary Ved. Means they are not exactly Ved, but they were derived for some specific aspect from the primitive or the basic Ved. Jaise, there is Ayurveda. Now Ayurveda mainly is considered to take the attribute from the Atharva Ved. But since Rig Ved also talks about the medicine and certain other things, it is said that Ayurveda ko Rig Ved se bhi inspire hai. Matlab Ayurveda have taken certain things. So if you are not finding Atharva Ved, agar Rig Ved mil raha hai, to you can also mark that particular thing, right? But more predominantly it is Atharva Ved. There is Dhanur Ved. It has taken certain things or inspired from the Yajur Ved. Yajur Ved was related to what? Related to the, abhi just bataya tha. Yajur Ved is related to the rituals, right? Then there is the Gandharva Ved. Now Gandharva Ved is associated with the Sama Ved, and last is the Shilpa Ved, which is a part of the Atharva Ved. Okay? So these are certain type of derived aspects which are the Upaved. Next is, you can get the term like Nasadiya Sukta. What is exactly Nasadiya Sukta? So Nasadiya Sukta is basically the creation ka hymn, jo earliest jo hymn tha or earliest verse that was created, which was the creation wala verse, right? So this talks about the creation. So this Nasadiya Sukta, obviously which particular Ved it will be related to? The Rig Ved only, the oldest one, right? So this is the hymn of creation. Next is the Purusha Sukta. So this is a part of the 10th mandal of Rig Ved, and 10th mandal is the interpolation, right? The later added part. So that Purusha Sukta talks about the origin of the Varna system. So the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, this particular thing is provided in the Purusha Sukta. Now the Purusha Sukta was added as 10th mandal through the 10th mandal, and 10th mandal itself was added later. And that's why it is said that during Rig Vedic time period, the society was to some extent egalitarian, and the changes that were observed, that was mainly in the लेटर वैदिक पीरियड, ठीक है, इसीलिए ऋग वैदिक सोसाइटी के बारे में आएगा. सो यू कैन टॉक अबाउट दैट द सोसाइटी टू सम एक्सटेंट वाज इगैलिटेरियन इन नेचर. नाउ देयर आर सर्टेन अदर थिंग, जैसे देयर इज सत्य गायत्री मंत्र. अगेन गायत्री मंत्र इज द अगेन फ्रॉम द ऋग्वेद एंड सत्यमेव जयते टेकन फ्रॉम द मुंडक उपनिषद. राइट नाउ there are political terms, जैसे in the context of the Rigved there are important terms like there is Rajan. Now the Rajan used to be the tribal chief. If it is Rigvedic time period, they are used not to be the kingdoms, empires nahi the, kingdoms nahi the. The largest or the apex unit was the Jana or the Gan or tribe. So he used to be the tribal chief, he used to be the supreme of that particular tribal, right? Then there were Sabha. Sabha used to be the elite council. Sabha used to be elite council. And what was the purpose of this particular council? The purpose was to perform certain type of political, judicial type of functionality. So advisory council tha, judiciary council, and there were women also who were taking participation. But since it is an elite council, you can assume that lesser number of women were taking or allowed to take participation in this particular council. And those women who were taking participation were known as Sabhavatis, the female taking participation in this particular type of sabhas. Next is Samiti. Now the Samiti used to be the folk or the tribal assembly, folk assembly. Now the folk assembly generally for the secular purposes also, and even for certain other purposes. Jaise, if the king has to be elected or king has to be reappointed, re-elected, all these things were being done by the Samiti. So compared to Sabha, it was more egalitarian. It was more inclusive in nature. So it was a popular type of assembly concerned with policy, election of the king and all. Next is the Vidhat. So one of the most talked about assembly in the Vedic text is Vidhat. So Vidhat or Vidhata was one of the largest talked assembly in the Vedic text, right? Or a particular assembly, oldest assembly thi, mainly for the secular, religious, military and the social purposes. And this is also, since it is talked a lot about, and this is the oldest one, so active participation of women also observed. So with respect to the women participation, you can assume, jaise jaise time badhta gaya, the position in the society started getting declined. From early Vedic period to the Rig Vedic period to the later Vedic period, you will observe that the position will start getting declined, right? So this is the Vidhat, and last is the Gan. Gan is basically the tribe in general. So there is no some specific assembly, it is the in general tribe. So this tribe is known as the Gan. Now see, with respect to the evolution of this particular Gan, now this Gan or Jan, इसे Jan भी कहा जाता है. So in the Rig Vedic time period, you see the term Jan. Later Vedic text में you will see the term which is known as Janapad. Means where the people are residing. Pad means the people are residing at that particular place. And then later on you start seeing the term known as the Mahajanpad. Mahajanpad means now out of these Janpads, these started combining. So, ये हो कैसे रहा है? How this is happening? Because during the early Vedic period, it was mainly the cattle wealth which was predominant. क्योंकि जो जन है, if that has to reside on a territory, if has to settle on the territory, there will be more and more territorial annexation. So that means from the cattle now we are moving towards a society which is talking about the accumulation of land. So धीरे धीरे जैसे लैंड का इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ता गया, different राजन started accumulating land, you start seeing the janpad that became the highest territorial unit. And then once the janpad started fighting amongst each other for the dominance, and then eventually they have taken the large amount of territory, the rajan have taken large amount of territory with them, and then that resulted into rise of 16 Mahajanpad. So roughly by the 6th century BC, and it's not like because ये evolution इसी तरीके से होना था. It is also based upon certain type of causes or certain type of factors which resulted in this Mahajanpad, and this time period was known as the second urbanization. Second urbanization. Why? Because यहाँ पर again you will see urbanization क्यों होता है? अच्छा चलो, if I ask you why there is urbanization, different phases of history we have seen urbanization. Why there is urbanization? Any idea? Yes. Whenever you are more dependent on agriculture, it is going to ensure that it is going to be a rural or the primitive type of society. What you are doing? You are living on subsistence. You are producing, you are consuming, you are happy. Now what will be happening once there will be development of technology. You will start producing more. Your productivity eventually get increase. If there is a wooden plow or there is a iron plow comparatively more durable hai, it can penetrate more amount of land and eventually the productivity is going to increase. Productivity badhegi to production bhi badhega. Production badhega, there will be more number of produce that is available that individual can't consume. To ab jab consume nahi kar sakta, you will find that those who will need these type of things, eventually there will be rise of the exchange of these things and this will give rise to the trade. Ab jab trade aayega, surplus aa raha hai, trade aa raha hai, then eventually you have to find the avenue na where you are going to sell these things. और वो कहां बेचोगे आप? For that you will need to find certain trade centers or you will establish the trade centers जहां पर economic activity बढ़ेगी and these economic activity will eventually going to give rise to the urbanization. So whether you talk about from Neolithic age to the IVC or from this particular time period जहां Vedic age से जनपद से महाजनपद बने या even later during the time period of the industrial revolution also. This industrial revolution, which is one of the modern day phenomena, that also gave rise to the large number of urban centers. आप across the world देखो जहां पर urbanization हुआ उसके पीछे industrialization was one of the predominant factor. ठीक है? So this is the natural way ahead that it will lead to the urbanization. So that's why you see that there was rise of the iron use, जो कि mainly later Vedic time period पे ज़्यादा use होना शुरू हुआ था. The Krishna Ayas or the Shyam Ayas, right? So that is used for the iron. Now this resulted in the rise of productivity. Now there was rise of certain prominent kingdoms. उन kingdoms ने दूसरे kingdoms को annex करना शुरू किया. So there was rise of Magad. Now once Magad got risen, eventually there was rise of the powerful dynasty within Magad and they were able to provide the centralized administration. और वहां से बड़ी-बड़ी cities बनी जैसे राजगृह, Patliputra, Vaishali, right? Avanti. So these cities now became the trade centers. Now they started trading with the different other parts of the world. जो same IVC में हो रहा था, those things are again happening, and this gave rise to the second urbanization. So there may be question regarding this type of thing also. Now the next aspect is the Purohit. Purohit is the priest advisor, we all already know. Senani is related to the military head. Senani, right now also we use this particular term. ठीक है? For the commanding officers or the commandants, this particular term is still prevalent, Senani. Right, next is Gramini. Now Gramini is used, Gramini, Gop, Gopala, these are the terms used for the village heads. बाद में during the time period of your Delhi Sultanate, फिर Mughal time period, there were different like Mukaddams, Chaudhries, Khots, these are the terms. तो वो सब same ही है. They are the village headmen, right? Now Bali. Now till here we have not talked about certain thing which is economic aspect. This Bali is also not the forced one, it is the voluntary tribute. Means to priest who is doing some type of, let's say, sacrifice or performing or helping you to perform some sacrifice, you are giving something voluntarily. It is not forced upon. So it cannot be considered as a formal tax. It is not a formal tax. It is a voluntary tribute. But then formal tax started from mainly the later Vedic time period. So Bali used to be the voluntary tribute. Now in the later Vedic period there were certain new aspect got involved. जैसे later Vedic time period पे you started getting the Janapad. Now for that Janapad, king has to assert first its authority. So now it is not only the tribal head, it will be the country head or that particular Jan or that particular region का head. So it is now associated mainly with the land. वो अब सिर्फ ट्राइब से एसोसिएटेड नहीं है, दैट इंडिविजुअल इज आल्सो एसोसिएटेड नाउ विथ लैंड. सो देन दिस इंडिविजुअल हैज टू इंश्योर सम लेजिटिमेसी. अब उसे लेजिटिमेसी पाने के लिए व्हाट दैट पर्टिकुलर इंडिविजुअल इज गोइंग टू डू, वो इंडिविजुअल क्या करेगा, अब वो इंडिविजुअल कुछ तरीके के सैक्रिफाइसेस को परफॉर्म करेगा. एंड दो सैक्रिफाइसेस, फर्स्ट वाज द राजसूय यज्ञ. नाउ राजसूय यज्ञ वाज फॉर्मल कोरोनेशन टाइप ऑफ सेरेमनी. ठीक है? सो इट इज द रॉयल कॉन्सिक्रेशन, राइट? सो दिस इज गोइंग टू इंश्योर दैट यू आर द लार्जर लीडर. होता है ना कि आप बहुत सारे राजा हैं वहां पे, आप सबके लीडर हो. सो दिस इज द फॉर्मल टाइप ऑफ कोरोनेशन टाइप सेरेमनी, राइट? Next is Ashwamedh. Now this is the type of sacrifice which is utilizing the horse. There will be a royal horse that will be moved or led to move around the different territories. Now along with that particular horse there will be accompanying forces. So if there will be for that particular horse, if that is going to move freely and then comes back to that particular region, तो जिस region से वो होकर आया है, that entire territory will be considered as the sovereign territory of that king, जिसका वो horse है. If there will be any challenge to the horse, then there is going to be a fight, and then eventually after fight it will be decided the fate of that particular king. ठीक है. So after the Ashwamedh Yagya, there was a imperial type of sacrifice. Last is the Vajpayee Yagya. Now, in a very narrow term, if we say, it is used for the chariot type of race. So Vajpayee is also a type of, we can say, a yagya or a type of sacrifice or a royal sacrifice, jahan pe there were a lot of things which were not the formal sacrifice type की चीजें. जैसे there were chariot race, there were different other type of competition. जैसे होता है ना आजकल कि there is some maybe competition with respect to some eating thing, ठीक है, maybe drinking related aspect. So there were, and this is for the power, so it is to show the power of that particular ruler. So traditionally performed by kings to attain the supreme authority. Rituals include करते chariot race, having the cup of the som and sura offering. Now do you know what is the difference between the som and sura? Any idea regarding the som and sura? Both are utilized or generally used for the alcoholic drinks or the intoxicant during the Vedic time period. But the difference is som is attributed with the ritual sacrifices. The som is used for the ritual performance. So that's why this is a type of drink which is used for the ritual. Sura is used as an intoxicant or the alcoholic beverage type thing. So Sura is the, we can say this is the religious trend, and the Sura is basically the what type of, जो आपके folk या जो होता है ना कि normally मतलब common parlance में, or maybe for the secular purposes. So there is a difference between both of them. Next is the Bagh. Now as the term and term का meaning suggests, Bagh means the division. So it is the division of the crop between the individual holder and the state. So the Bagh is the tax of the on the produce. So if you are producing on this particular land, state will say कि I need half, so it is the 50% Bagh. So that is the share of the produce. Now, from here, from the later Vedic period, you start getting roughly formal type of taxes. So there is rise of the taxes like the kar. Now the kar is used for the general purpose taxes. There is another term जो कि आपको पता होगा, शुल्क. Now UPSC कैसे क्वेश्चन पूछता है? They will give an idea regarding this. भाग, कर, शुल्क are associated to what? And this would be very easy question. ठीक है, ये difficult नहीं है. But then they utilize it for certain other similar looking terms, और जो इतना commonly अभी prevalent नहीं है. जैसे they might be asking regarding the satmana, nishk are related to which particular thing? अगर आपको नहीं पता है कि they are related to the metal and specifically the later point of time पे coins, so then in that particular case UPSC में trap, right? So इस तरीके से they can ask, and जनपद we have already talked about. So शुल्क is basically the custom duty. शुल्क आज भी आप हिंदी में यूज करते हो for the taxes, and this is the custom duty, right? Next is the social structure. So social structure में there is the varna system. Varna system we know that there is a fourfold division. Now varna versus jati. So varna is attributed to the division which is based upon the occupation. It is the fourfold division, later on got rigidified, but it was based or supposed to be based upon the occupation. The jati that was later on attributed to this particular varna, and jati is associated with the birth based. So जो difference है वर्ण और caste में, so वर्ण and जाति, right? Next is the द्विज. द्विज is basically twice born individual. So one is the physical born, and then eventually there was a उपनयन संस्कार or जनेऊ धारण. And once you are wearing that particular sacred thread, it is said that you are again reborn. So that is the twice born, right? So it is said that the upper three varna, the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, they were known as a Dvij, right? So because the Shudra were not allowed to perform these type of sacrifices or these type of rituals like the Upanayan Sanskar, right? Next is the Upanayan Sanskar. This is the sacred thread ceremony, Janeu जिसे बोला जाता है common parlance में. Then there are these type of marriages like the Anulom and Pratilom. Now Anulom Vivaha in accordance with the societal structure. Now if you see that presently also at many such places it happens that if the higher varna male or higher caste male marries with the lower caste female, then generally it is accepted, but if that is the reverse phenomena, then it is being criticized. So this is the same phenomena. Anulom is according to that particular tradition. So the higher varna male and the lower varna female, and the pratilom is opposite to that, the lower varna male and the higher varna female. So as per the Vedic text, this is being this is being discarded, इसे criticize किया जाता था. Then there is a niyog vivah. So niyog vivah is basically considered as a type of contract. कैसा contract? It was mainly for procreation. Means suppose karo, if the women get widowed and if there is, and that is childless widow, right? And in that case, if there is any maybe sibling of that, any specific individual, maybe the younger brother of him, so that is the vivah, that is the niyog vivah. Okay? So that is the niyog vivah. Next is the stridhan, the women's property, and then there is a ashram system we have already talked about. The brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyas, right? Next is the economy and culture. So there are terms like nishk. So nishk is basically used for the gold. This term nishk ho gaya. Ek aur term hai, there is hiranya. These are the terms used for gold. So nishk, hiranya, these are the terms utilized for gold. So gold ornament, or since it was not a formal coin, and that's why we are not saying that they are the currency, they are the medium of exchange, means they were accepted as the exchange ka medium. Yahan tak koi formal set of currency nahi aaya tha. So nishk is associated with basically the gold. Next is shatman. Shat means 100 and man means the unit of weight. So shatman means 100 mans. Means it is जैसे होता है ना 100 grams. So shat means 100, right? So satman is the unit of weight. Now it is based upon the silver. So 100 man का जो silver होता था, that was known as shatman, right? Associated with the currency or coin, you can say. Then there are potteries जैसे one of the earliest pottery after the red and black ware you are going to see is the ochre colored pottery. ठीक है? Red and black ware pottery generally associated with the region of IVC and all. ठीक है? Ochre colored pottery आपको मिलती है mainly in the region of the Gangetic Valley, जहाँ पर, and which is also associated with the Chalcolithic age. So Chalcolithic age में you see the ochre color pottery. Later on there were rise of the colored, so painted grey ware. So painted grey ware is associated with the later Vedic age. Now, there are certain prominent terms regarding cow that we are going to talk about, but another term with respect to cow only, that is known as the Gaveshana. Gaveshana is the term that is utilized for search of cow. Search of cow, sometime it is also known by the name ki research of cow. You might have heard of one term Gavishti. When we read about the Vedic literature, there is a term known as Gavishti. Gavishti is basically the search for cow or the war for cow, because the cow used to be the predominant wealth, right? Now, in that, when it is the search for cow, generally it is known as by the term Gaveshana. So, Gaveshana is used for the search for cow. And for the iron, the term that is used is the Krishna IAS. Krishna represents the black color. So, it is the Krishna IAS. Now, there are certain prominent terms associated with cow जो UPSC पूछ सकता है. First is go, which is for the cow, right? Important, a major wealth, right? During the time period of the early Vedic age. Next is the Godhan. Godhan represents the wealth of cow. Godhan means जिसके पास ज़्यादा, that is the comparatively more wealthy individual. So the amount of wealth is calculated by the number of cattle or number of cows that you are possessing. Next is the Gomant. Now you might knowing the Shrimant बोलते हैं कि the one who is having possession of all the type of royalty, all the type of, मतलब जो होता है ना कि you have wealth possession, so Shrimant. So Gomant means those who are possessing the large number of cow. They have the wealth of cow. They are the Gomant, right? Then there are Gomedha. Gomedha is basically the Gomedha is used for the cow sacrifices. Medha is means for one there is going to be the sacrifice of cow. So Gomedha is the cow sacrifice. And generally, now you might be thinking that if it is the wealth during that point of time, why there is going to be the sacrifice? So it was generally assumed that if there are some old cow which are just at the end of their life cycle, so it is the process of transferring their soul from the older body to the newer body. So it is considered that type of ritual jahan pe through the cow sacrifice it is the transfer of the soul, right? Next is the gotra. Right now also it is very much prevalent, right? So gotra is the cow pen or your association or your lineage, right? So during the Vedic time period, it was said कि भाई gotra was associated with one such place जहां पर there used to be the cows which were placed, और उस particular जगह there was development of village, and the people who were living in that particular village were considered as the people belonging to the same gotra. And that's why, as per the Vedic tradition and as per other the biological aspects, the Sangotra Vivaha are prevented. Sangotra Vivaha are prevented, right? So that is the Gotra. Next is the Gop or Gopala. Now, just before this, I have already talked about that the Gop or Gopala is term used for the village headman. So previously, they used to be the prominent individual who were possessing the cow wealth, and then they eventually became the village headman type of individual. Next is Gogna. Gogna, Gna is means like the slaughter of that particular individual, right? So Gogna is used for the guest. Now it is said that Atithi जो होता है ना कि Atithi Devo Bhava, so that is the type of tradition. So if for somebody, if you are on the ritual sacrifices, you are sacrificing cow, that means that is the supreme being, that is the equivalent to God, right? So that's why the guest के लिए you are utilizing the term Gogna. Next is Aghanya. Now see, Vedic text अगर हम पढ़ते हैं and exactly if literal meaning you try to get, so that will be confusing, because the same Vedic text talks about Aghanya, means cows should not be killed. They are non-killable, right? So not to be killed. That shows the relevance of the cow. Next is the Duhitri. Duhitri means duhne wali, means basically those particular individual who are milking cow, and generally as per the gender norms it was assigned to the female and generally the daughter. So daughter के लिए ये term use किया जाता था Duhitri. So Duhiti or Duhitri was the term utilized for the daughter. Next is Gosht. Gosht आज भी अगर आप देखोगे in the Marathi, the Gosht is used for the talks. और गोष्ठी होता है ना, गोष्ठी ऑर्गेनाइज करना मीन्स सम टाइप ऑफ कॉन्फ्रेंस, राइट? सो द गोष्ठ इज बेसिकली यूज्ड फॉर द काउ शेड और इनक्लोजर, जहां पे पीपल यूज्ड टू असेंबल एंड दे यूज्ड टू डिस्कस. They used to discuss the matter. So it is Gosht. Gavishti is used for the search for cow or the cattle, right? So during the early Vedic time period, this is the mean war. So wars के लिए you were utilizing the term Gavishti. Pashu, we know that there is livestock, and Bali. Bali is basically the voluntary tribute that we have already seen. Now the tribute can be in any form. Generally it was in the form of the sacrifice. ठीक है? So this is regarding the Vedic age. Next is the Mahajanpads. Now from the Jan you move to the Janpads, and from the Janpads now you are moving towards the Mahajanpad. Which thing is getting more predominance? From the cow now it is the land which is the prominent property. So अब land का importance comparatively ज़्यादा है in the Mahajanpad. Now how we get to know regarding the Mahajanpad? So eventually there are certain texts, because if we are talking about the second urbanization, so this second urbanization was roughly during the time period of 6th century BC, and 6th century BC के around it was the time period of the rise of the Buddhism and Jainism also. Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivikas, Charvak, ठीक है? So these particular philosophies were getting developed. So the Buddhism and Jainism के contemporary texts were also giving an idea regarding the rise of Mahajanpad. So that's how through those particular texts you get to know. So Buddhism में it was mainly the Anguttar Nikaya, and this Anguttar Nikaya is one of the Nikaya. Nikaya is basically section. So Anguttar Nikaya is part of the Sutta Pitak. So Sutta Pitak का part, and that gives an idea regarding some prominent kingdom during that time period. And किस तरीके के kingdom? It were both type of kingdom. There were monarchies also and there were oligarchies also. ठीक है? So it was also being led by the Chakravartin or the Rajas, and it was also led by the elected representatives or in the form of Gana Sangha, right? So it was the time period of second urbanization. The Gana Sangha were the oligarchies. Gana means the people and Sangha means the combination or the collection of those. So Gana Sangha represents the oligarchic republics. ठीक है? तो जहां पर एक ऐसा नहीं है कि जरूरी नहीं है कि क्रोनोलॉजिकल हायरार्की में ही रूलर आएगा. इट माइट बी इवन द इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, इलेक्टेड थ्रू सर्टेन टाइप ऑफ प्रोसेस. मे नॉट बी एग्जैक्टली रिप्रेजेंटेटिव और मे बी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, दैट डज नॉट मैटर, बट इट इज टेकिंग द पीपल्स वॉइस और द पीपल्स कंसेंट. नेक्स्ट इज अ प्रिंसिपल प्राइमोजेनिचर. What is the primogeniture? Means the eldest or the oldest son inherits the things, whether it is the Rajya, whether it is property, whether it is wealth. So it is the primogeniture. Now there is another principle, roughly matlab talking about the inheritance, that is known as co-parcenary. Co-parcenary, and this you will see during the time period of the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughals. Co-parcenary says कि भाई जो भी wealth आएगा that will be distributed among all. And even it was utilized during this time period. ऐसा नहीं हुआ हर बार कि primogeniture follow हुआ and it was always the eldest son. You talk about majority of the ruler, it was not the eldest son who have inherited. It was the ablest son who have inherited the property and the kingdom. So there is a primogeniture and then there is a principle of co-parcenary. Co-parcenary says that it will be, whether it is the male, whether it is female, they will be having the equal right on the father's property. Clear? So that is the primogeniture and co-parcenary. Next is the Karshapand. Karshapand is utilized. If you have ever read any text related to the Mauryan Empire, Karshapand is utilized as the roughly one of the highest currency. So they are the highest currency type of coin, but they were not exactly the true coins. They were like the coins used as the medium of exchange, but not the true coins, because कोई standardization नहीं था वहां पे, right? So the Karshapand were the punch mark type of silver coins, or one of the earliest coinage, right? So if there is a term that is attributed to coin, you can utilize, but they were not the true coins type of coin, right? Next, इसी के जो lower denomination थे, they were known as pan. So वो होता है ना कि मतलब 1 रुपया then 100 पैसा, तो similarly Karshapand and there are pan. Pan are the lower denomination का currency. Next is the Gahapati. So Gahapati or Grahapati is the landowner or the rural elite. Now next is the Shreshtis or Shetis. ठीक है? So these are basically the merchants. So Shreshtis or Shetis, this is utilized for the merchant or the financer, and this eventually gave rise to the rise of guilds. यहां से guild बनने की शुरुआत होती है. Guild is basically a organized type of group which is having the merchants, which is having, let's say, different occupation के basis पे. अब merchants तो maybe construction merchant हैं, trade merchant हैं, किस तरीके के हैं. So all of these are there. So Shreshtis or Shetis, generally they are the merchants or the financiers, and they used to work also as a banker. So पहले तो banking as an institution नहीं था, so they were basically the informal type of banker. They used to provide the loans. Next is परिव्रजक और परिव्रजक्स. So परिव्रजक और परिव्रजक्स क्या था? They were the wandering ascetics. Now this is the time period when there was a rise of different religions or different type of sects, or the heterodox type of sects, जिसमें बुद्धिज्म भी था, जिसमें जैनिज्म भी था. There was also ajivikas, right? So paribrajak were those people who were the wandering ascetics, those who were not believing in the traditions of the Vedic text, or those who were contesting the Vedic text, and they eventually led the rise of the Buddhism, Jainism, ajivikas or charvaks, right? Next is the upasaks or the upasika. Right now also we use this term. Upasak means the follower. Now when we talk about, let's say, Buddhism, now those who follow Buddhism, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि हर कोई उतना extreme penance follow करता है. There are lay followers also, so they are generally the upasaks. And then there are bhikshus and the bhikkhunis. They were the following the extreme rituals or extreme type of things, right? Next is related to the heterodox sects. So these heterodox sects generally were attributed as the Sharmana tradition. So Sharmana tradition included Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivikas, right? So Sharmana basically comes from that non-Vedic and ascetic wanderers, those who were in the finding of truth, those who were not believing in the Vedic text. But ये नहीं है कि वो God में believe नहीं करते. They were not believing the text which are the Vedic text. तो Vedic text या वेद में believe नहीं करते, so they were the non-Vedic. They were not exactly like कि वो मतलब नास्तिक नहीं है. अगर नास्तिक स्कूल ऑफ थॉट्स भी बोला जाता है, they are not exactly denying the existence of God, but then they are not believing in the Vedas authority. तो आस्तिक और नास्तिक स्कूल ऑफ थॉट के बीच का डिफरेंशिएशन यही है. आस्तिक स्कूल नॉट नेसेसरीली ऑलवेज टॉक्स अबाउट क्रिएटर गॉड, इट इज अ मिथ. आस्तिक स्कूल सेज दैट वेदा आर सुप्रीम इन एनी फॉर्म, वो अपने तरीके से जस्टिफाई करते हैं. एंड नास्तिक स्कूल सेज दैट वेदा आर नॉट द सुप्रीम वन. ठीक है, तो बेसिकली देयर इज अ डिफरेंशिएशन. इट्स नॉट द आस्तिक एंड नास्तिक बिलीव ऑन द गॉड, वो डिफरेंट है, राइट? नेक्स्ट इज द आजीविकास. नाउ आजीविकास अगेन a sect that was
previously predominant, but right now it has completely got dissipated, right? So the Ajivikas was also like one of the religion formed on the lines, jaise Buddhism tha, Jainism tha, similarly there was Ajivikas, and the Makkali Ghoshala was the person who was the founder of Ajivika sect. And it is also said that during the time period of Ashok, he gave or donated certain caves to the Ajivikas. The Barabar cave was one such example, right? Now, Ajivikas believe on one such philosophy which is known as determinism or niyati. What is niyati? Means, जो होना है वो होगा. You can't do anything. है ना? जो बोलते हैं ना कि we believe on the fate. So they say कि when we can't do anything, when we can't change, so let's assume कि जो होगा हमारे साथ, that is already destined. You can't change through your action, through your deed, through your those things. Anything you can't change. So that is the determinism, niyati, जो कि absolute fate है. So Ajivikas used to believe on this particular thing. Then there was another set of school which is also known as the Lokayat and the Charvak. Now this was attributed to the Brahaspati. Now what exactly is the thought process or belief of Lokayat or Charvak? Means khao piyo aur maze karo, right? So क्या बोलते हैं कि if they are, let's say, if that maze has to be done by borrowing from someone, they are also not shying with that, because they say कि there is no fifth element which is ether. There are only 4 elements. तो जो है वो इसी दुनिया में है. There is nothing beyond this. So that's why enjoy this life only, and there is no further life or afterlife वाला thing, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. So that is the Lokayat philosophy. That is also known as the Charvak. Next is Jainism. Now in Jainism, the most important term that you know, and Vardhaman Mahavir, who is the 24th Tirthankar. So there is a term known as the Tirthankar. And if there is a question comes, obviously ऐसा question नहीं आएगा, but if there is a question regarding the, which is the older religion, based upon certain facts, or based upon certain type of identification. Buddhism or Jainism, it is Jainism which is having the roots from the, as compared to Buddhism which were older. क्योंकि आप देखोगे, सो इवन बुद्ध के केस में भी, जो सिद्धार्थ गौतम, उसके केस में भी इट्स लाइक कि देयर वर प्रीवियस बुद्धास. ऐसा नहीं कि देयर वर नो प्रीवियस बुद्धा, बट वी डू नॉट गेट एग्जैक्ट थिंग, और हमें कुछ ऐसे ट्रेसेस नहीं मिले. व्हाट वी गेट टू नो इज थ्रू द टेल्स और द जातक स्टोरीज और थ्रू डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट. In the case of Jainism also there are 24 Tirthankars. 24th was Vardhaman Mahavir. उनके पहले 23 थे. So 23rd Parshvanath Bhagwan, we get to know about him that he lived roughly in the 8th or 9th century CE. Oh sorry, BCE. So that shows that कि भाई उनका existence के बारे में there are facts associated, and there are no such thing which are based upon not other than literature. There are no many such proofs that are available in the case of Buddhism. So that's why it is considered that Jainism is comparatively older religion. So 23rd and 24th Tirthankar, Parshvanath and Vardhaman Mahavir, they are associated with the facts, they are associated with certain type of things जो कि validate किया जा सकता है through certain type of archaeology, certain type of other things, right? So that's why it is considered as comparatively older religion. Now there is a Tirthankar. So Tirthankar are made up of 2 terms, Tirth and Kara. Tirth basically is the fold or making the way, and Kara means to cross or to help to cross that particular stream. So what the objective of Tirthankar is, that they are not helping you in order by holding your hand and to move you from this particular life towards liberation. It is your task. What is the objective of Tirthankar? That they make way for you. They are the fold makers. वो एक नदी है, there is a flow in that particular river, and they make the bridge or they make a path for you. So Tirthankar makes the path that the other people have to follow. So they are the ford makers. They are also known as Nirgranth. So Tirthankar ke pehle this particular term was more prevalent. Nirgranth means without any bond. So they are free from every type of bond, because they are the ascetics. They have relinquished every practical thing, right? So that means they are free from every type of bonds. Now, talking about the philosophy, very important thing from the perspective of Jainism. Now, in the Jainism, when we talk about the Triratna, because Buddhism में भी Triratna है, Buddhism में Triratna include the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. That is being talked about. Buddha, the one who is enlightening you. Dhamma is the path that he had shown, and Sangha is the monastic community which is going to help you to get the liberation. In the Jainism, Triratna includes Samyak Gyan, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Acharan. Yeah, right faith, right knowledge and right conduct. Then there are Panch Mahavrat or and Anuvrat. Both the things are there. So Mahavrats and Anuvrats, 2 terms are there here. Both terms का जो अंदर चीजें हैं वो सेम है, बट द इंटेंसिटी इज डिफरेंट. जैसे द महाव्रत इंक्लूड सत्य, अहिंसा, अस्तेय, अपरिग्रह एंड ब्रह्मचर्य. द फर्स्ट फोर वर एडेड बाय पार्श्वनाथ एंड द फिफ्थ वन was added by वर्धमान महावीर. Now, ahimsa, complete or extreme form of non-violence. Satya, truthfulness, means even मनसा कर्मणा वाचा, ना अपने कर्म से ना बोलने से किसी भी तरीके से आप अहिंसा और सत्य को, मतलब दोनों में फॉलो होना चाहिए, इन तीनों चीजों में फॉलो होना चाहिए. देन अस्तेय मीन्स नॉन स्टीलिंग, अपरिग्रह नॉन पोजेशन एंड ब्रह्मचर्य means celibacy. That was added later by Vardhaman Mahavir. Now, if we talk about these Mahavrat, if you are going to follow in extreme, there will not be followers with you. क्योंकि आपने तो कर लिया. There may be some people who might be attached to this thing, might do the extreme penance, but not for the lay followers. So for the lay worshippers or lay followers, there is Anuvrat. Anuvrat means in the lesser extreme form, these type of vows. So these 5 vows, but in the lesser extreme forms, are known as the Anuvrat, means the minor vows, and these are the major vows. Next is the one of the most important principle of Jainism, which is known as the Anekantvad. Anekantvad simply says that there is a multi-sided aspect of truth. आप किसी भी जगह से देखो, you cannot see the complete truth. That means it is the multi-dimensional truth. From your perspective, from your dimension, it is the one perspective that you can get. That means you should not get too much happy with something that I know everything about that, because it's not practically possible. That's why believe that there is no absolute truth. And for getting a knowledge regarding absolute truth, you have to become the Kevalin, or you have to achieve Kaivalya. And Kaivalya as per Jainism is the ultimate liberation. So jo Tirthankar hai, they had achieved the ultimate liberation. That's why they can see everything. They can see the truth or absolute truth, not for the individual. So this is the Anekantvad. Now all these 3 are to some extent confusing. We have seen the non-absolutism of the truth. Next is the Syadvad. Syadvad is doctrine of maybe. मतलब it can be not. If it is going to be there, then there will be some conditional logic. So based upon this, you are going to derive certain aspects. So it says that it is a conditional logic that is going to be fit. Again, it is talking about the non-absolutism, but it is talking about the conditional aspects. So it is the doctrine of maybe. This is the Syadvad. Syad is maybe, right? Next is the Nayavad. Nayavad is basically a doctrine roughly similar to Anekantvad only, but it also said that जो partial truth है या जो partial perspective है, through that you can reconstruct the truth, but that will be the partial one. So it reality is the multifaceted and can only be understood through the partially through the limited perspective. So what Anekantvad is saying, that thing is being highlighted and that thing is validated by Nayavad. So generally what UPSC, even they have already asked, and agar मान लीजिए आगे भी पूछते हैं, so they will not go in much differentiation because it is to some extent confusing. What they might be asking, Syadvad, Nayavad is associated with which particular religious doctrine. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से they can ask. And Kaivalya is lastly the liberation or the omniscience. ठीक है. Next there are certain practices जैसे सल्लेखना और संथारा. This is the extreme penance, means you relinquish everything, you stop having food and eventually you starve yourself to death. So that is the way to achieve the ultimate liberation. So that is known as the Sallekhana. And it is also said कि भाई बोला जाता है कि Chandragupta Maurya have also performed this extreme penance, right? Next is the Kayotsarga Mudra. Kayotsarga Mudra is the most prominently available seen mudra in the case of Jainism. You might have seen a lot of Tirthankar, even you might have seen the statue of Lord Bahubali. You might have seen that they are standing like this, and that is the meditative posture. So वो जो meditative posture होता है, the standing mode of meditation, that is known as the Kayotsarga Mudra. So that is the standing meditation associated with which particular religion? Jainism. Next is Buddhism. Buddhism में 4 noble truth. There is suffering, there is dukh, then there are causes of dukh. What are the causes of dukh? It is the attachment, It is the desire, क्योंकि आप attachment करते हो, you have desire and that's why you face dukkha. If you cess these particular thing, and the cessation is possible, Buddha says that the cessation of this particular type of dukkha is possible. And I'm telling you the way. What is that particular way? That particular way is the Ashtang Marg, or the eightfold path. So the four noble truth include suffering, causes of suffering, cessation of suffering, and the path. Eightfold path क्या है? Right view, right concentration, then right meditation. From right view से लेकर till right meditation, right samadhi, all these are part of this. And he talks about that do not go for any extreme. It is always followed in the madhyam marg. So Buddha talks about the madhyam marg. Now, जैसे हमने यहां पर कैवल्य देखा था, वी हैव सीन हियर द कैवल्य विच इज बेसिकली द ओमनिसेंस. हियर अचीविंग निर्वाण इज बेसिकली डिनोटेड बाय द टर्म निर्वाण, एंड द महापरिनिर्वाण टर्म दैट इज यूटिलाइज्ड, दैट इज फॉर द डेथ. सो वो महापरिनिर्वाण है, एंड निर्वाण इज बेसिकली अचीविंग द इनलाइटनमेंट. सो निर्वाण इज लिबरेशन फ्रॉम द संसार, एक्सटिंक्शन ऑफ एवरी टाइप ऑफ डिजायर, राइट. Annika, there are certain other principles, because Buddhism believes in the principle of impermanence. Buddhism says that nothing is permanent, even your soul is not permanent, and that's why you should not have any attachment. ना अगर कोई चीज अपनी होती है तो we have attachment, but if the even your soul is not yours, because that soul also changes every time it moves from one body to another body, it is the different soul. So there is no permanent soul. So that's what is being represented by the principle of Annika. Means everything is not permanent, everything is impermanent. So that is the philosophy of Annika. And that's why Buddha says कि why there should be dukkha then. आपको जब पता है कि कुछ भी permanent नहीं है, then there should not be any dukkha. And why there is dukkha? Because we think that there is something which is permanent. Everything will fade with age. Everything will lost with age, everything will be gained with age. आज जो चीज है वो कल नहीं रहेगा. So that's why Buddha says कि दुख इसीलिए होता है because we have attachment to those particular things. And then he talks about that how he gives an idea regarding कि भाई जब आपकी soul ही नहीं है, so he gives the concept of anatta or anatman. Anatman means there is no permanent soul. So Annika is in general talking about impermanence. Anatta and Anatman is talking about that there is a no permanent or unchanging soul. So soul also gets changed. ठीक है? So it is the philosophy of Anatman. So Annika, Anatta and Dukkha, these are the three important concepts with respect to Buddhism. ठीक है? Next is Pratitya Samutpada. Pratitya Samutpada talks about the dependent origin. According to Buddhism, the Pratitya Samutpada is nothing exists without the condition. Everything exists with condition. Till the point of time conditions are there, these things will be there. जब conditions खत्म हो जाएंगी, वो चीज भी खत्म हो जाएंगी. There is a tree, you plant that particular tree, there was a seed, you planted that, there was soil, there was watering of that particular tree, there was moisture available constantly, there was sunlight available, and that's why there is a tree. अगर suppose करो पानी देना बंद कर दो आप, there is no sunlight, that will not be there. So that is existing because of the conditions attached to that are existing. And that's why this is the theory of the dependent origin. Next is, talks about, and Sunyata, which is the principle of the Mahayana Buddhism. Sunyata is a similar looking concept of the Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism को दो part में divide किया जाता है generally. There is a principle, a part which is known as the Madhyamika school, and next is the Yogakara or Yogachara school. ठीक है? So Madhyamika school was propounded by Nagarjuna, and Nagarjuna gave the principle of Sunyata. What exactly is that Sunyata? It is not the emptiness. It is basically the empty of the independent self. Again, whatever was mentioned already in the Pratitya Samutpad, similar thing they are talking about, but they are talking about regarding the independent self. मतलब वही चीज conditional origin होता है कि if the causative factors are available, then only things will exist. So दोनों को interchangeably use कर लिया जाता है. They are not exactly same, but they were utilized interchangeably. So Sunyata talks about that there is no permanent existence. So it is empty of the independent self. There is no independent self. जैसे if I give you the example, if there would not be any plastic, would there be this bottle? No. ऐसी बॉटल नहीं होती ना. इंडिविजुअल आज भी वो एनिमल की खाल में जो जिस तरीके से वाटर मतलब वो होता है ना कि वाटर कैरी करने के लिए देयर यूज्ड टू बी सर्टेन टाइप ऑफ वेसल्स, दोज यूज्ड टू बी देयर, राइट? सो बेसिकली there is plastic, that's why there is a possibility to create this type of bottle. There was wood, that's why the possibility to create this type of table. So that's why it is empty of the independent self. So this is to give you an idea that individual भी इसलिए क्योंकि conditional factors are available. ऐसा नहीं है कि इंडिविजुअल होना था इसीलिए इंडिविजुअल, एंड दैट्स व्हाट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ शून्यता propounded by माध्यमिका स्कूल. एंड रिगार्डिंग हिम आल्सो यूपीएससी had asked the question. यूपीएससी ने एक और क्वेश्चन पूछा which is not part, I have not mentioned over here. There is लोकोत्तरवादिन. यूपीएससी had asked a question regarding लोकोत्तरवाद या लोकोत्तरवादिन. लोकोत्तरवादिन is made up of the term lok and uttar. Lok means this particular world and uttar means beyond that. And लोकोत्तरवादिन school said कि भाई बुद्ध जो है he is God. He is beyond this particular lok. That means what you are doing? You are doing the deification of Buddha. आप दैवत्व रोपण कर रहे हो बुद्ध को. You are saying that the Buddha is God. As per the old school or old Pali school or the Theravadin school, Buddha is considered as an elder. Buddha is considered as a master. Buddha is considered as a teacher. Buddha is not considered as a God. तो बेसिकली देयर वर करप्शन विद इन द बुद्धिस्ट ट्रेडिशन ऑल्सो, एंड जो सिमिलर चीजें आप वैदिक रिचुअल्स में यू वर सेइंग दैट दीज आर द क्रिप्टिक प्रैक्टिसेस, दोस प्रैक्टिसेस आर नाउ बीइंग इनकॉर्पोरेटेड इन बुद्धिज्म, एंड दैट बिकेम वन सच कॉजेस फॉर द डिक्लाइन ऑफ बुद्धिज्म. यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा था डीइफिकेशन ऑफ बुद्ध. So Mahayana school have taken those things from the Mahasangikas, from the Lokottarvadir, and Mahayana school also talked about that Buddha is in the physical form, Buddha के attributes हैं, and Buddha is a deity. So Mahayana school also have taken certain things from those things like Mahasangikas and the Lokottarvadins, and Mahayana school also talks about the deification of Buddha. Clear है? ठीक है? So deification of Buddha is the दैवत्व रोपण या considering him as the God, right? Now last is the Dhammapad. Dhammapad is basically, Dhamma is the doctrine in the Buddhism, so it is the teachings of Buddha. Dhammapad means Buddha ke pad means the pathway created by Buddha, and they are the teaching of Buddha. So discourse of Buddha you can also say. Now there are certain canons and institutions. Sangh is the monastic community, jahan par there were bhikshus, there were bhikkhunis, right? And eventually they were following which type of rules? Vinay rules. So Vinay were the monastic codes of Sangha. Dhamma Chakra Pravartan, it is the first sermon associated with which particular symbol? It is the Dharma Chakra. जो Ashokan wheel है, that is the symbol of the Dhamma Chakra Pravartan, right? So Ashoka के दो I have not incorporated over here. Just watch that what are the different symbols associated with the life of Buddha. There is an elephant which is associated with the birth. There is a horse which is related to the Mahabhinishkraman, means his exit from the house. Then eventually lion is associated with Vardhaman Mahavir. Lion is a representative of Vardhaman Mahavir. In the case of Buddha, the third symbol is regarding the Bodhi tree. It is representing the liberation of Buddha. Then Dhamma Chakra Pravartan, which is basically the wheel. And then last is the स्तूप. ठीक है? महापरिनिर्वाण. It is the stupa. And that's why the stoop is having the relics of Buddha. Initial stoop used to have the relics of Buddha. So initial stoops जो बनाए गए थे बुद्ध के relics पे, and then eventually during the time period of Ashok, those relics were collected from majority of the जो stoop बने थे, वहां से relics collect किए, and roughly 80,000 plus places पे those relics were redistributed. Original relics were at 8 places and plus 1 for the pot, and eventually बाद में वो collect करके अशोक के time period पे it was sent across the different region. So the missionaries activities got predominant during the time period of Ashok, right? Now last in this is the Buddhist council. The first council was in the Rajgraha, very important. Just अपने आप end पे देख लेना. Rajgraha में first council है during the time period of Ajatashatru. Mahakashyap was the priest or presiding authority over here. There was the codification of the Sutta and the Vinay Pitak. Next council in the Vaishali under the rule of Kalashok. Kalashok was the patron. The presiding officer was Sabakami, right? And here there was a divide between the Mahasangikas and the Theravadins. Third was the Patliputra under the reign of Ashok. Mogaliputra Tissa was the presiding authority or the priest, and यहाँ पर अभिधम्म पितक codify होता है. And last was in the Kashmir. All three previous were in the Bihar. Last was the Kashmir, Kundalwan region में होती है under the reign of Kanishk, the Kushan ruler. और वहां से you see यहां तक ये Pali predominant था. From here it is the Sanskrit predominance. So the arrival of Sanskrit also is one such attribute. Next is the sect Theravada or the Heenayans. देखो ओरिजिनल नाम थेरवाद है, ठीक है. हीनयान्स इसीलिए क्योंकि फ्रॉम द महायान टेक्स्ट, अब आप किसी को पसंद नहीं करते हो, देन व्हाट यू आर ट्राइंग टू डू, यू आर ट्राइंग टू गिव सम अदर नेम, ना इंफीरियर नेम, एंड हीनयान इज द लेसर व्हीकल. अब कोई सेक्ट अपने आप को लेसर क्यों बोलेगा? सो इट इज फ्रॉम द महायान टेक्स्ट वी गेट टू नो रिगार्डिंग द हीनयान. दोज हु आर बिलीविंग इन द थेरवादा प्रैक्टिसेस मींस द ओरिजिनल बुद्धिस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस, एंड द महायान इज बेसिकली अडॉप्टिंग सर्टेन न्यू सेट ऑफ प्रैक्टिसेस, जहां पे it also talks about the deification of Buddha, right? And this is also believing in the Bodhisattva ideal. There is a difference between the Theravada and the Mahayana on the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva ये नहीं मानते, ये मानते हैं कि you have to achieve it yourself. You have to do the extreme penance, you have to do all these type of things, and then only you are going to get the liberation. Mahayana says कि नहीं, there are Bodhisattva. Objective of Bodhisattva is कि he is standing on the verge of liberation. He can get easily the liberation, but why he or she is not getting the liberation? Because he want other to get the liberation first, and then eventually that individual or that bodhisattva is going to be liberated. तो वो दूसरों के लिए compassionate है, दूसरों की liberation को चाह रहे हैं, and that's why the Mahayana talks about the bodhisattva ideals. Heenayan or the Theravadins do not represent Buddha in the human form, so they believe in the aniconism. Aniconism मतलब icons में वो करते हैं. They were not representing Buddha in the human form. The Mahayana represented Buddha in the human form. ठीक है. Vajrayana, the tantric set of Buddhism, mainly practiced in the region of Tibet. So Tibetan form of Buddhism जो है, that is the Vajrayana form of Buddhism. So Tara is a prominent bodhisattva associated with the Tibetan form of Buddhism. Lastly, bodhisattva, these are the we can say roughly future liberated, मतलब not exactly Buddha, but they are the people who delays their nirvana in order to help others. So they are the people guided by the compassion. Next is the stoop के कुछ terms हैं. I'll give you these terms through the stoop only. So in the case of stoop, you see there is a toran. This is the gateway. Now during the time period of the Shunga and Satavahan, the Sanchi stoop pe these particular decorative elements were incorporated. So this is the toran. Now on the toran generally or on the Vedika, you will observe that there are stories being written or being depicted. So these are the Jataka tales. Next is the Vedika. Now Vedika is the outer boundary. These are the outer boundary. Then there is Medhi, which is the upraised type of platform, jahan se you can have the face to face with the main part of stupa, which is the anda or the basic dome. ठीक है. Now this particular anda is just on and above the relics. So जो बुद्ध के relics हैं या जो prominent saints या जो भी prominent भिक्षुस हैं उनके relics हैं, उसके ऊपर there is a anda, and this represents the body of Buddha. So if we divide this particular stupa, so this till Medhi and Pradakshina path, this is the feet or the जो भी सिंहासन होता है बुद्ध का वो है. This is the body of Buddha till the Harmika. Harmika and above represents the crown or the head of Buddha. So anda represents the body. This Pradakshina path represents the circumambulation towards, जब आप सूर्य, जैसे there is a sun and then there are planets move around sun. So like this you move the circumambulation around the cosmic center. Now there is Yasti, जो आप center में देख रहे हो, that is the central axis or Yasti, and the entire things moves around that particular Yasti. So this is the cosmic axis. There is a Harmika, which is representing the crown, the head of the Buddha, and the Chhatri. There are generally three layers in the Chhatri: Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, the three Ratna of the Buddhism. So this is being represented by the Chhatri. ठीक है. तो ये बेसिकली बुद्ध जो स्तूप है, इवन फॉर द प्रीलिम्स एंड इवन फॉर द मेंस, दिस टाइप ऑफ थिंग्स आर द इक्विवेलेंट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ बुद्धा's body and the broader philosophical aspects of the stoop. So the stoop, then chaitya are the prayer hall. Generally they are the apsidal vault type of place. जैसे बाहर से आप देखोगे, they will look like the horseshoe shaped, एंड अंदर से भी इफ यू सी दे आर द वॉल्टेड टाइप, एप्साइडल और वॉल्टेड टाइप स्ट्रक्चर रहेगा. मींस इफ यू गो इनसाइड देम यू विल ऑब्जर्व दैट दिस इज, लेट्स से इफ दिस इज द एंट्री, इनसाइड दे आर लाइक दिस, सो दे आर राउंडेड अराउंड देयर लास्ट पार्ट. और यहां पे देयर इज गोइंग टू बी द स्तूप. नाउ दैट स्तूप माइट हैव बुद्ध, दैट स्तूप माइट नॉट हैव बुद्ध. अगर वो बुद्ध में, अगर स्तूप में बुद्ध भी है, दैट मीन्स इट इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग द लेटर ट्रेडिशन और द महायान ट्रेडिशन. इफ देयर इज नो बुद्ध, दैट मीन्स इट इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग द हीनयान ट्रेडिशन, राइट. सो अजंता, Ellora, you will observe that somewhere they were having the Buddha standing in front of that, and sometime it was not Buddha. Means कई बार human representation है, कई बार नहीं है. So through that you will having an idea regarding which age they belong to. Next is the vihar. Vihar is the monasteries, जहां पे जो भिक्षुस and भिक्षुनीज हैं, they used to reside. So they are the residential quarter. जातक tales are the story of the past life of Buddha. So Queen Maya Devi's dream, या बहुत सारे और चीजें हैं कि वो मारा का जो द टेस्टिमोनी फॉर बुद्ध, भूमि स्पर्श मुद्रा जहां से आती है, राइट. सो दोज आर द थिंग्स. एनाइकोनिज्म इज अवॉइडिंग डायरेक्ट रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ बुद्ध, राइट. देन नेक्स्ट इज द मौर्यन एम्पायर. नाउ इन द केस ऑफ मौर्यन एम्पायर द टर्म इंपॉर्टेंट आर अर्थशास्त्र. अर्थशास्त्र इज बेसिकली द ट्रीटाइस ऑन द स्टेट क्राफ्ट. किसने, कौन, किसे एट्रीब्यूट किया जाता है फॉर द अर्थशास्त्र? इट इज द Kautilya. ठीक है. So Kautilya was the person who was behind the Arthashastra. Now Arthashastra does not give the chronological idea regarding the Mauryan Empire. वो मौर्यन एम्पायर के chronological idea में नहीं जाता है. अर्थशास्त्र talks about the statecraft. जैसे मैकेवेली की प्रिंस है, तो वो स्टेट क्राफ्ट की राजा को क्या करना चाहिए, व्हाट राजा शुड डू, व्हाट राजन शुड नॉट डू, दोस थिंग्स इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो सिमिलरली अर्थशास्त्र टॉक्स अबाउट द स्टेट क्राफ्ट. इट ऑल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट द फॉरेन पॉलिसी, इट ऑल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट द इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी, राइट. सो इट इज ऑल्सो श्रुति, सॉरी स्मृति टाइप ऑफ टेक्स्ट. अर्थशास्त्र को भी स्मृति टेक्स्ट में काउंट किया जाता है. देन इंडिका बाय मेगास्थनीज. सो इट वाज कंटेम्पररी ऑफ द चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य एंड इट टॉक्ड अबाउट द मौर्यन एम्पायर. सो थ्रू द मेगास्थनीज इंडिका व्हिच इज अवेलेबल नॉट इन द ट्रू फॉर्म, इट इज अवेलेबल इन वेरी मच फ्रेगमेंट्स ओनली. तो वहां से हमें पता चलता है कि कास्ट क्या था, हाउ सोशल डिवीजन वाज देयर, व्हाट वर द gifts that were provided by Chandragupta Maurya to Seleucus Nicator and vice versa, how he was posted as an ambassador, right. All these things are being provided. Next is the Saptanga theory. It talks about the 7 element of the state, which includes the Raja also, which used to be Vijigishu. Then there are certain other things, just say there are Amatya or the minister, there are territory like the region, ठीक है. Then there is fort, fort is Durg. Then there is a treasury which is the Kosh. There is army which is the Bal, and then there are allies which are the Mitra, ठीक है. So this is the Saptang theory. Another theory that was provided in the Arthashastra, that is the Mandal Siddhant, and Mandal Siddhant is about the foreign policy. So Mandal Siddhant by Kautilya talks about the foreign policy, which says that there is going to be the arrangement of power. You are a central state. आपके beyond जो आपका neighbor है, that will be de facto enemy, और that is Ari. उसके बाद का जो neighbor का neighbor है, that is going to be the Ari Mitra. Means Ari basically आपका मित्र रहेगा, because that will be having neighbor जो आपका भी neighbor है, ठीक है. तो दुश्मन का दुश्मन दोस्त, right. Then there are administrative structure. Amatya used to be the ministers. Then there are certain higher officials known as the Mahamatras. Now, difference between Amatya and Mahamatras is not that significant, but generally Amatya are the general type of ministers. Mahamatra are the specific type of minister. जैसे some Mahamatra were appointed for the propagation of religion, so they were known as Dhamma Mahamatras, है ना. कुछ for economic purposes. So if that is appointed for specific department, justice, welfare, frontier, so they were attributed with the Mahamatras. ज़्यादा difference नहीं है. Then there are Samahartas. Samahartas are basically the collectors, है ना. So they are the revenue collector. They are the revenue collectors. Sannidhata were the custodians. So Sannidhatas used to be the people who were having that particular thing. So जो treasury होती है, treasury में पैसा जमा किया जाता है, so they were the custodian of that particular treasury, जहां पैसा आ रहा है समाहर्तास के थ्रू. So समाहर्तास are the revenue collectors. Next is the Sitadhyaksh. Now Sita is used for the crown's land. Sita is basically used for the crown's land. So Sitaadhyaksh means जो superintendent for the crown's land. Now in the Delhi Sultanate and Mughal time period, this particular land was known as Khalisa land. So जो खलीसा लैंड है, यू कैन मेक इट पैरेलल. अगर मान लीजिए 3-4 अलग अलग टाइम पीरियड के दे हैव आस्क यू नेम एंड दे आस्क यू दैट व्हाट इट रिप्रेजेंट्स, उस समय पे क्योंकि बहुत चीजें आपको सिंक में नहीं दिख रही, यू माइट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सो सिताध्यक्ष इज द सुपरिंटेंडेंट ऑफ द लैंड. नाउ यूपीएससी आस्क्ड रिगार्डिंग दिस लास्ट ईयर, राजुका, युक्त एंड द pradeशिकास, these are officials mentioned in the Ashokan edict also, and they are the district level official. So Rajuka used to be the district level official, judicial or revenue. Yukta used to be the subordinate revenue official, and Pradeshikas are the district supervisor. Similar type civil administration का ही काम है Rajuka, Yukta and Pradeshikas का. So they were mentioned in the Ashokan rock edict. Then there are sthaniks. Sthaniks can be considered as one of the earliest police that we know. So they were the officer in charge of the group of village, and they ensured the law and order in that particular village. Sthanik comes from the sthan, means they are governing that particular place. So sthaniks are the people who are in charge of the village. Next is the gop. Again we have already seen gop is the village headman, or later on मतलब ये सारे काम जो विलेज अकाउंटेंसी के काम है, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर वाले काम है, ऑल दीज टास्क वर आल्सो बीइंग परफॉर्म बाय द गोप. ठीक है. सो अलोंग विथ विलेज हेडमैन, दे दैट वाज विलेज हेडमैन आल्सो, अलोंग विथ दैट विलेज अकाउंटेंट, रिकॉर्ड कीपर. बिकॉज जनरली अगर सपोज करो इफ राजन हैव टू टेक मनी और वांट टू टेक द और कलेक्ट द टैक्सेस, अब इंडिविजुअल के पास तो नहीं जाएगा, ही विल आस्क ऑल द गोप टू कम एंड सबमिट हिज ड्यू. ठीक है. तो वो गोप अकाउंटेंट का भी काम करते हैं. मराठास के टाइम पीरियड पे यू विल रीड रिगार्डिंग द कुलकर्णीज एंड ऑल. So they were also the accountants or the revenue collectors, right? So that was the thing. Now there is Antapal, which is the frontier governor. Next is the Dhamma Mahamatras, which are to propagate the Dhamma or to propagate the Dharma according to the Buddhist ideal. So basically it was Ashok who was attributed to spread of Buddhism across the world. So अगर आप पहली दो असेंबलीज देखोगे, they were dealing with their own set of conflict. Then Ashok came. Ashok ensured that there should be settlement of the dispute in the different Buddhist Sangh, and now there is going to be propagation of the ideas of Buddhism across the world. So now the propagation of the Buddhist ideals got initiated. So वहां से you see the Dhamma Mahamatras, which are the officials appointed for the propagation of Dhamma. Next is the Goya Purush. So they are the spies. Now Goya Purush were the spies. During the time period of Delhi Sultanate, they were the Barids and Munyans. है ना. Barids and Munyans, they were the spies. Now दो तरीके के spies थे. संस्था, which are the stationary ones, means suppose करो जैसे there is a shopkeeper, होता है ना, कई बार वो shopkeeper है, he is keeping a eye on entire thing. And then संचारी, maybe like in the form of beggar, maybe in the form of certain type of priest, or maybe किसी और तरीके से they are there. So they are the संचारी, or संचार means the mobile spies. So they are the stationary and the mobile spies. Next is Stri Ganardhi Vibhihi. Stri Ganardhi Vibhihi starts from Stri, means it is something attributed to women. So it is used for the female bodyguard. So the Megasthenes and even Arthashastra talked about that Chandragupta Maurya used to have even the female bodyguard. So there was this particular concept कि ऐसा नहीं है कि it was only the male bodyguards, it was even the female bodyguards, means the female were also performing these particular tasks. So this is the thing associated with the female bodyguards. ठीक है. Next is the judicial and the administrative. There are certain type of dispute resolution bodies. This is dharmasthya. Dharmasthya means according to dharma. ठीक है. So they are the civil court. Civil court means property, basic dispute resolution. But for the criminal aspects, they are like the kantas, they are like the kantaks. So the kantak shodhan was the term. Kantak shodhan means removal of those particular type of spikes that are available, or the thrones that are available. So it is the criminal court. So kantak shodhan is the criminal court. Dand we know, it is the punishment. Paura Janpad is basically a type of suburb area. So it is having the rural features also, it is having the urban feature. आज जैसे आप suburban region बोलते हो, so it is combining the urban region Paura and the rural region Janpad. So it is the type of suburban region जिसमें दोनों attributes होते हैं. Next, now from the later Vedic period, now the economy got further predominant. यहाँ पे भाग है, we have seen भाग. भाग is basically the division. So भाग is the जो पोर्शन आप टैक्स में दोगे, सो टैक्स किसे जाता है, टू whom the tax is going, it is going to the king, so that's why this bhag is going to king. Now bhag of the produce, and that means it is the king's share in that particular produce. Initially it used to be 1/6, बाद में धीरे धीरे करके ये बढ़ा कम हुआ, so accordingly it is going to increase or decrease. So it is the king's share in that particular produce. Now hiranya, again I've already talked you about this hiranya and nishk, so they are related to the gold. So hiranya, nishk, they are related to gold. So that is basically, अब देखो there was no such formal currency, तो cash क्या होगा, cash is those things which can directly be utilized as the currency. So this is the hiranya is used the cash payment for the taxes. Other payment का mode क्या था, it is the king's share in the produce. So those who can give it in the form of produce, they can give it in the form of kind. Those who can give in the form of the gold and silver, they can give it in the form of the gold and silver, right? So it is the hiranya. Then udg bhag is basically the irrigation tax. Udg is basically used for the water, so it is the water tax or the irrigation tax. Sita revenue, Sita land we have seen, so it is the crown's land, so it is the revenue from the crown's land. Karshapan, the punchmark type of coin we have already seen. Then रुप्यका is, जैसे आज आप रुपए यूज करते हो, that is coming from the rupak is used for the silver, so it is the silver type of coin or the lower denomination coins that were there, so it is used for the rupyak. Shreni is basically used for the guilds or the merchants guild, right? And then there is another term sartvaha. देखो vaha is the one who is carrying something. Vaha is used for carrying something and Sarth is used for caravan. Now whenever there are traders going on, there has to be, क्योंकि आज के जैसे GPS तो नहीं था, so there will be need for some people who are ensuring that those people should not get misguided or should not be raided by some other people, so that there was a need for some people who are going to navigate, so they are the caravan leaders, mainly for the long distance trade. So Sartvaha is the term used for the caravan leader for the long distance trade. Next is, there are different type of forest, so or other type of official. So Hastivan, Hasti is for elephant, so it is the reserve forest for the elephant, it is the Hastivan. Then there is Arkadhyaksh, so it is Ark means mine, so it is the Adhyaksh of the mines or the minerals, right? Then there is Panyadhyaksh. Now Pan we have seen, Pan is used for currency, Karsha Pan or Pan. So Pan is associated with the trade. पैसा आ कहां से रहा है, ट्रेड से, so it is for the trade and commerce. Now Shulkadhyaksh, Shulk हमने देखा था, what was Shulk? It is the custom duty. So Shulkadhyaksh is the one who is superintendent of the custom duty. Next is the Setuband. Setuband is basically used for the irrigation works. Then Pautav Adhyaksh, Pautav is used for the weights and measures. Pautav Adhyaksh is for the weights and measures. Then a Nav Adhyaksh, Nav means the boat, so for the navigation, maritime navigation, ship navigation. Then Lavan Adhyaksh, that is, Lavan means the salt, so Lavanadhyaksh for the salt or the superintendent of salt hai. And then Suradhyaksh, so Suradhyaksh, Sura we have already seen, Sura is the liquor used for the secular purposes, so it is the person who is the present day जो excise officers होते हैं उस तरीके का superintendent of liquor. Next, certain political term, Vijikishu is used for the king. Then there is Mandal theory, foreign policy के लिए. Matsya Nyaya is basically a type of anarchy, means एक ऐसा सिस्टम जहां पे कोई लॉ एंड ऑर्डर नहीं है, सो इट इज द लार्जर फिश गोइंग टू ईट अप ऑन द स्मॉलर फिश, सो देयर इज अनार्की गोइंग ऑन. देन चतुरंग बल मींस द बल इज बेसिकली द आर्मी, सो चतुरंग मींस द फोर फोल्ड, सो फोर टाइप ऑफ आर्मी, इट इंक्लूड्स इन्फेंट्री, कैवलरी, एलिफेंट एंड चैरियट्स. लास्टली आयुध घर, आयुध इज आज भी बोला जाता है असला बारूद के लिए, ठीक है, सो आर्मरी और द स्टोरेज ऑफ वेसल weapons, right? So ayudh aaj bhi you utilize this particular word for the different type of gola barud, right? Next is the Ashokan Dham. Now most of the things we already know. Devanampiya Priyadasi, it is depicting the Ashok, ठीक है. Musky inscription, many other inscription talks about this. Dhamma is basically the ethical code of Ashok. This is not exactly like the Dharma. It is basically the ideals on which the Buddhism is based during the time period of Ashok, right? So it is the ethical code and not exactly Buddhism. क्योंकि मैंने इसीलिए बोला कि Buddhism identified by Ashok means doing something according to the Dhamma or according to the righteousness, right? And for propagation of this, the Dhamma Mahamatras were being appointed. Then Dhamma Vijay means not the territorial conquest, because after he defeated the Kalinga ruler, after that there was a lot of massacre, and that's why he relinquished his policy from the Bhiri Ghosh, which is the conquest by war, to the conquest by Dhamma. So he from the Bhiri Ghosh became the Dhamma Ghosh. Bhiri Ghosh means the one who is doing the military conquest, and Dhamma Ghosh means the one who is doing the conquest based upon the righteousness. So the moral conquest. Then Atvika is there, which is the forest tribe. Atvika is the term which is used for the forest tribe. Then Dhamma Yatra means basically जो होता है ना कि जैसे अब राजा निकला है घूमने के लिए different places, he is doing the inspection, so it is for the Dhamma. So Ashoka's tour to spread the Dhamma. So basically through the Mahamatras, Dhamma Mahamatras, or through the directly by Ashok, this particular Dhamma was being propagated. Then this is the Schism Edict. देखो edict is the thing which is being written, ठीक है. तो अशोक ने अगर कोई चीजें लिखवाई हैं that we get to know regarding the Pillar Edict या फिर Rock Edicts, they are the things related to the Ashoka's reign. Now Schism Edicts means these are the edicts where the Ashok is giving the message that if we are not going to follow certain type of principles, there will be split. So Schism is representing the split. So the Schism edict is related to the splits in the Sangha. Why that particular thing is going to happen? Now Buddhism is being propagated at different places. Different countries may be gaya, different regions may be India mein, but obviously not all the principles are same, and that's why there was divergence emerged. And those who were believing on the most basic, most fundamental doctrines, and those who are believing in innovation, there is a difference between them, and that was the reason for Schism. And that's why Ashoka warned that ki bhai, if you are not going to follow certain things cautiously, there will be even the split. Then there is Brahmi script, ठीक है, left to right लिखी जाती है, mainly used for the Ashokan script of the mainland territories. Northwest में it was utilization of the Kharoshti script, ठीक है, mainly right to left लिखी जाती है, ठीक है. Then there are Greek and the Aramaic inscription. So Greek and Aramaic inscription talks about that there was connection during the Mauryan time period with the Rome, with the Greece and different other regions. Then there are certain important places जैसे पाटलिपुत्र. पाटलिपुत्र used to be the imperial capital, means पूरे empire का जो capital था, during the time period of Ashok it was shifted to the Patliputra region. Then there are different provincial capital, because they used to appoint they used to divide the entire empire in the provinces. There was a northern, there was a western, there was a eastern and the southern province. So the northern province was near the region of Takshashila, so this was the Takshashila region, ठीक है. Then Ujjain mainly for the central and the southern central region or the western region. Tosali was the eastern region, Kalinga जो capture किया था. And then Suvarnagiri is present day Karnataka. जो कर्नाटका का जो गोल्ड माइंस वाला रीजन है, that was the territory of Suvarnagiri. So this gives why I have included these things, because during the time period of Ashok or during the Mauryan Empire, it was the provincial administration already initiated. Now that provincial administration is not their indigenous or their original innovation. It is the thing that they have incorporated from the Persians, from the Greeks, because इनके पहले there were Persians already ruled. The Cyrus the Great, Darius, roughly 6th, 5th and 6th century BC. After that, even Alexander was before Ashoka, right? So, उन लोगों ने भी, there was a satrap system that was already introduced, and satrap was basically the governorship. So वो governorship यहाँ पर दिखाने के लिए कि they have incorporated that concept of governorship by appointing a governor in order to rule that particular region. That was being inspired from the Persians and the Greeks. और बाद में साइमल्टेनियसली इनके साथ देयर वाज अ डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द बैक्ट्रियन ग्रीक्स, क्योंकि जो सेल्यूकस निकेटर एंड हिज सक्सेसर्स वर रूलिंग, दे वर द सेल्यूसिड एम्पायर, बट इवेंचुअली दैट वाज नियर द वो जो थे नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न रीजन पे, और बैक्ट्रिया रीजन में देयर वाज अनदर ग्रीक एम्पायर दैट वाज गेटिंग डेवलप्ड, और जब वो वीक होता है देयर वाज राइज ऑफ द फर्दर इन्वेजन इन द रीजन ऑफ इंडिया, एंड दैट गिव राइज टू द पोस्ट मौर्यन रूलर्स. पोस्ट मौर्यन रूलर्स दो तरीके के थे, देयर वाज इंडिजीनियस सेट ऑफ रूलर्स एंड देयर वर external or the foreign rulers. Foreign rulers were mainly coming from different regions like Central Asia. They were the Central Asian nomadic tribes. Now what during this time period had happened, China had developed the Great Wall of China, and eventually because of that they were not able to penetrate that particular region, और इसीलिए only place available for them to come was the passes available in the Hindu Kush and the Himalayan region, and that's why they arrived towards India. Simultaneously जो Indo-Greek empire, जो not Indo-Greek, Bactrian Greek empire है, वो भी push किए जा रहे थे by the Shaks who were sitting in the Central Asian region. That's why Indo-Greeks were the first external entity come after Mauryans, not overall. After Mauryans, it was the first external invasion. So Indo-Greeks were the first external invasion after Mauryans. So Indo-Greeks में they were Indo-Greeks representing the collaboration of the Indian and the Greek elements, right? So they are going to have certain Hellenistic feature also, which are inspired from the Rome, and certain indigenous features. ठीक है? So Indo-Greek rulers. Now Indo-Greek ruler जैसा मैंने बताया, they were the first to issue the gold coins, and their gold coins were one of the highest purity. ठीक है. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज द इंडो ग्रीक रूलर. इंडो ग्रीक्स में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट जो रूलर था विच वी हैव टू नो इज द मिनेंडर और मिलिंद एंड हिज कॉन्वर्सेशन विद नागसेना हु वाज अ बुद्धिस्ट मंक. दे आर बीइंग कंपोज्ड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ द मिलिंद पन्हो. सो इनिशियली ही वाज अ शैवाइट रूलर. फ्रॉम शैविज्म he got converted into the Buddhism after his conversation with Nagasena, right? So Milinda Panha is associated with the Indo-Greek tradition. Now, the Greeks were also known by the term of Yavan. So, they introduced certain things and that have term Yavan. So, Yavanika is basically the curtain. So, theatrical जो aspect में you see curtain, curtain is the Indo-Greek innovation or Indo-Greek contribution. So, that is inspired from the Greek. ठीक है? So, Yavanika is the theater introduced by curtains in the theater. Now, next is the Yavan Priya. So, this is used for the black paper. So, black paper जो होता है काली मिर्च, for that because major trade was going through the in the form of the spices, and that's why the Yavan Priya is used for the black paper, dear to the Greeks because उस region में they were not having much spices, and that's why. Next is the Heliodorus pillar. Now why Heliodorus pillar? Because see, it is giving a symbolization of the awareness with Vaishnavism. We have already seen that there is Buddhism, post-Mauryan we are talking about. So, इस केस में Buddhism था, but then gradually they were also patronizing different other religions. जैसे, in the reign of Kanishk, you will see the patronization of the Shaivism also. Here also in the Heliodorus pillar, and this was during the reign of the Shung rulers. So, it was during the Shung. So Shung were also ruling in the region of the Vidisha or the Bhelisa region. So Vidisha region में there was Heliodorus who was sent as the ambassador to the Shung king Bhagbhadra. तो भागभद्र के पास as an ambassador भेजा जाता है, and he got inspired from the Bhagavatism or Vaishnavism, and that's how he erected a pillar which is also known as the Heliodorus pillar. और इसे ही खंबा बाबा भी कहा जाता है. दिस इज द वन फैक्ट एसोसिएटेड विद दिस. सो विच रिलीजन इट इज एसोसिएटेड विद? इट इज एसोसिएटेड विद द वैष्णविज्म. इसे बेस नगर पिलर, बेस नगर इज विदिशा, सो विदिशा पिलर कहा जाता है. नेक्स्ट इज द शक. नाउ शक आर द ट्राइब्स कमिंग फ्रॉम द सेंट्रल एशियन रीजन. साइथियंस और शक, दे वर द ट्राइब्स हु पुश्ड द इंडो-ग्रीक्स. इसी वजह से इंडो-ग्रीक्स इंडिया में आए, एंड देन शक्स हैव टेकन द प्लेस ऑफ इंडो-ग्रीक्स, नॉर्थ वेस्ट पैसेज. और जैसे ही इंडो-ग्रीक्स वीक होते हैं, नाउ शक्स आर गोइंग टू टेक कंट्रोल ओवर द रीजन्स ऑफ इंडो-ग्रीक्स. एंड शक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड इन इंडिया इन 5 ब्रांचेस. नॉट दैट इंपॉर्टेंट, बट जस्ट टू नो अबाउट दिस कि भाई एक ब्रांच जो सबसे पहला रीजन है नॉर्थ वेस्ट, देन देयर इज अ रीजन ऑफ पंजाब, देन द रीजन ऑफ द मथुरा जो आपका प्लेन्स रीजन है, देन दे वेंट टुवर्ड्स द महाराष्ट्र और द वेस्टर्न, एंड दे बिकेम द वेस्टर्न क्षत्रप. So the Kshatrap you see that talks about the branch or their regional rule. So Shak का जो western Kshatrap था, that was the most predominant one, and the most predominant Shak ruler in that was Rudradaman one. Now you might have already read regarding the Shak era, है ना? Shak era, historically it is said that it is attributed to which particular king? Shak era is attributed to which particular king? कनिष्क ऐसा बोला जाता था. Even many texts, even R.S. Sharma talks about Kanishk, but it is not Kanishk, because जो modern day historians ने बताया and they have identified the age of the rule of Kanishk, it was somewhere around after 100 AD. और अगर 100 AD के बाद it is 78 AD which is Shak era. So it cannot be attributed to the Kushana ruler Kanishk. So that's why. और अगर एक लॉजिक सोचो, अगर कनिष्क ने किया होगा तो why not Kushan era, why Shak era? After defeating, why in his name or her name he is going to have an era? Logically भी अगर आप सोचो, so there must be something Shak connection with that. So it is identified that Western Kshatrap का जो founder था और one of the most prominent ruler who was Chastana. So King Chastana or Kshatrap Chastana was the ruler in the 78 AD. He took control over the Western Kshatrap. He defeated the local rulers over there and defeated even the Indo-Greeks. ठीक है? So that's how he taken the era as the Shak era. और रुद्रदामन उन्हीं के lineage में से था. So रुद्रदामन also was a Western Kshatrap. ठीक है? So वो वहां से आता है. So it is the Shak ruler. Similarly, Vikram Samvat is not attributed to Chandragupta Dvitiya. Another misconception. It is not attributed to Chandragupta Dvitiya. It is Ujjain or the Malwa ruler Vikramaditya. There were more than 15 Vikramaditya in the Indian history. So, जो Vikramaditya, because it is 57 BC. When Chandragupta Dvitiya was there, roughly 4th century AD. तो वो तो हो ही नहीं सकते, right? So that is not Chandragupta Dvitiya, who is also known by the title of Vikramaditya. It is Vikramaditya of Ujjain. And he defeated Shak in that particular region, और वहां से he took he had ensured that particular era, which is the Vikram Samvat. So Vikram Samvat and Shak Samvat, या Shak era. Next is the Satrap system. So Satrap system, as I have already talked about, it is the provincial governorship. तो आज जो आप देखते हो राज्य, there are different provinces, so ruled by a chief minister or a governor, right? So that is the Kshatrap. So Kshatrap or Mahakshatrap. Mahakshatrap means the larger one, matlab maybe the prince who are ruling, right? So they are the Mahakshatrap. Next, another similar looking term is strategos. Strategos is the military leadership, means a ruler annexed a territory and went away, but he had ensured that his successor or उसका एक nominee वहां पर बैठा हुआ है, and that is ruling on the name of that king. The revenue is going towards king, everything is going towards king, even the rule is not done in the name of the king. So strategos is the military general. जो Kshatraps हैं, they were the basic general level governance. When it is the military leader or military leader is assigned with the territory, that is the strategos. अब if you see the Ikta system of Delhi Sultanate, it is somewhat like the strategos, अगर वो इन लोगों को प्रोवाइड की जाती है, ठीक है. Then there are even Vijayanagar Empire में similar type of system था. Even in the Mughal rule there was Mansabdari system. So they got inspired from this only. They were the modified form. Next is the Junagadh Prashasti. We have already talked about Rudradaman one, ठीक है. So Junagadh Prashasti, a Girnar rock hill inscription. तो गिरनार जो रॉक इंस्क्रिप्शन है, दैट इज ऑल्सो द जूनागढ़ प्रशस्ति, ठीक है. सो रुद्रदामन वन, अशोक एंड स्कंदगुप्त, दीज आर द 3 रूलर्स जिनके इंस्क्रिप्शंस वहां पर है. लैंग्वेज chaste Sanskrit or the earlier or the primitive Sanskrit. Next is the Gondopharnes. Now it is not a term, basically it is the ruler's name. He was Parthian ruler. One and only significant ruler in the Parthian that we know majorly was Gondopharnes. Now आफ्टर शक अराइव्ड इन इंडिया, अब जब शक जहां पर वीक होते जा रहे हैं इन द नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न रीजन, दे वर बीइंग रिप्लेस्ड बाय द पार्थियंस. सो पार्थियंस आर रिप्लेसिंग द शक टेरिटरी इन द नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न रीजन, एंड पार्थियंस आर कमिंग फ्रॉम विच रीजन? ईरान, पर्शिया रीजन से आते हैं. सो Gondopharnes was a prominent ruler. Why Gondopharnes was in news, or not in news, why important? Because during his time period, roughly it was the 1st century AD, and it is said that during his time period, the first missionary activities got initiated from the side of Christianity. So यहाँ पर it is said that Saint Thomas arrived in India in order to spread and propagate Christianity, और इसीलिए it is attributed with the arrival of Christianity in India. It is also said that he got converted to Christianity. इसके कोई proof नहीं मिलते, but then it is said that during his time period Saint Thomas arrived. So he was, Saint Thomas was one of the 12 apostles. I think 12 ही थे, एक बार check कर लेना. Not important for UPSC, but one of the apostles of Jesus. So after that, after Jesus, he sent 12 people or different number of people to different places in order to propagate Christianity. One of them was Saint Thomas, who arrived in India. Kushan time period पे Kushans basically, now after, देखो sequence अगर आप देखो, Indo-Greeks first, then after Mauryan we are talking about Indo-Greeks, after Indo-Greeks it is Shak, after Shak it is Parthians, after Parthians it is Kushans. So after Parthians it is Kushan. अगर Hun भी जोड़ लो तो after that there were Gupta period, अगर हम in general major region में बात करें, and after that there were Huns. ठीक है. So this is the series. Now Kushans were from the Central Asia, again the UAZ tribe. ठीक है. There was Kujul Catphyses and Vima Catphyses who were the initiator of the Kanishk का जो dynasty, and after that there was Kanishk. So they had taken the titles like giving them legitimacy. So they have taken the titles like the sons of God, means the Devaputra. Again, why some personality takes the title like Param Bhagvat, Rajadhiraj, Maharaj, Ekrat, right? In order to give them legitimacy, right? So that the people should follow them. Now Shak era we have already talked about. Vikram Samvat we have already discussed. Silk Route is the trading network. Now next is the Gandhara, Mathura and the Amravati school. Now these are the different school of art that was developed roughly in the 1st century AD or उस time period पे, somewhat around like 1st 2nd century BC से लेके 1st 2nd century AD around तक. Now Gandhara school is in the Gandhara region, northwestern India. So northwestern India was under the influence of the Indo-Greeks. So it is going to have the Greek influence. So Greek influence में you are going to see the influence in the form of the Hellenistic feature. So it is the Buddha, the way Buddha ka robe is there, the physical feature of Buddha, the calmness that is there on the Buddha, ठीक है? Then the body posture, the physical features. Apart from that, there is similar to Ushnisha, there is the curling hair, right? But not exactly like exactly Ushnisha. Ushnisha is basically जो चोटी होती है ना, which symbolizes the enlightenment. And then there was a halo around Buddha. पीछे जो एक आपको light दिखता है, that is the halo around Buddha. ठीक है? So that are the features of the Gandhara school of art. Now when you come to Mathura school of art or Gandhara school of art में, it is going to be influenced with the local material. So there was grey sandstone, grey schist that was predominantly utilized. In the Mathura region, it is the red sandstone which is very much predominant. इसीलिए Mathura school में you see the red sandstone. Now Mathura school, it was a indigenous type of school because दोनों school में development में influence था कुषाण का. Both were developed during the Kushan period first. But in the Gandhara school, it is more the Indo-Greek, Indo-Central Asian features. In the Mathura school, it is mainly the indigenous tradition. In the Gandhara school, you see mainly the Buddhism related influence. Mathura school mein it is Buddhism also, it is Jainism also, it is Hinduism also, all the type of features you are able to get. Next is the Amravati school development. यहाँ पे sculptures भी develop हुए, स्तूप भी develop हुए, right? In the Amravati school, you see not marble, it is the white limestone. It is the white, well-shined limestone that was utilized. Now, Amravati school में, unlike the other two, जहाँ पे the central figure was most prominent, Amravati school was in the form of panel. मतलब the way Jatak story is depicted, there are multiple characters being shown in the form of the relief panel or relief sculpture. So that's why in the Amravati school you see the narrative panels. And which particular dynasty? Initially Satvahan, and later on it was Ikshvakus. So जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, there were the Indo-Greeks, Shak, Parthians and Kushans. Simultaneously there were indigenous dynasties also, and all these dynasties emerged after Mauryans. So first were the Shung, led by Pushyamitra Shung. After decline of Shung, it was Kanavs. After Kanavs, it was Satvahans, and after Satvahan, now it got fragmented, mainly Deccan region में. After them, it was Ikshvakus. ठीक है? So this was there. Now they introduced certain prominent things, जैसे Kushans और mainly the Central Asian जो rulers थे, उन्होंने introduce किया reins, saddles and the stirrup. They can ask you a term, rein, saddle, stirrup is associated with what? So it is associated with the Central Asian or the Kushan incorporation with respect to the horse riding. Reins are basically the lagam, that is the leather वाला जो चीज होती है which you pull in order to put a brake on horse. Saddles are the seat, जो leather से बनी हुई seats रहती हैं, on which you sit comfortably over the horse, and the stirrup or the toe stirrup are the things जो कि ऐसे लटकते हैं over the horse, on which you can make your like foot stable. So these ensured that the horse riding is now going to be comparatively easy, and through that the balance can be maintained, and these are the innovations which eventually led their victories against the indigenous rulers. Clear hai? Next is the language and scholarships. There is Ashtadhyayi. Now Ashtadhyayi is associated with किसके साथ है? Ashtadhyayi with the foundational text, and it is associated with the Patanjali. ठीक है? Sorry, it is associated with Panini. So it is the Panini's Sanskrit grammar, and then there was Mahabhasya, which is associated with Patanjali, which is basically the commentary on the Panini's Ashtadhyayi. So Panini ki Ashtadhyayi can be considered as one of the earliest text with respect to the Sanskrit grammar. So it is Ashtadhyayi, and Mahabhasya was Patanjali. Patanjali ka jo text tha, that was the commentary upon the Panini's Ashtadhyayi, right? Next is Satvahan. Now Satvahan mein you find the matrilineal naming, like Gautami Putra Satkarni means son of Gautami, Vashishta Putra Pulmai, son of the Vashishta. ठीक है? Then there was Yajnashri Satkarni, so son of Yajnashri, right? So they used mother's name in their name. But was the society actually matrilineal? The chances were lesser. ये patriarchal society थी, because every time the ruler was male. They were utilizing the name of mother. मतलब वो symbolize कर रहे हैं the importance and the significance of mother, and that we also see in the Nasik inscription. This was recorded by Gautami Balasari. Gautami Balasari was the mother of Gautami Putra Shatkarni, and she wrote the Satvahan inscription, Nasik inscription, very near to the Panduleni cave. And this inscription talks about the conquest of Satvahan, victory of his son Gautami Putra Shatkarni, how he defeated Shak, how he ensured his own kingdom in that particular region, erstwhile dominated by the Shaks. Then Ghat Shaptasati was written by another prominent Satvahan ruler, Hala, and this is a Prakrit text. So Ghat Saptasati is a Prakrit text that was written by King Hala. Another term, I think इसके ऊपर यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चन भी पूछा हुआ है, Kataka and the Skandvara are associated with which particular region? देखो ये क्वेश्चन के चांसेस कम है कि किस डायनेस्टी से रिलेटेड पूछेंगे. They are associated with which particular aspect? So it is related to the military camp. So it is Katak and the Skandvara are the military camp or the temporary headquarter of a king. Means होता है ना कि जब suppose करो when Aurangzeb went to Deccan, he went there permanently, अपना permanent military stationing किया, and from there only the governance of even the North India was done. So similarly, Katak and the Skandvara were the military type of camps or the temporary headquarters, जो कि mention किए गए inscription में. Next, certain books हैं जैसे Periplus of Erythraean Sea, it talks about the trade. There is another prominent personality like Hippalus. So Hippalus discovered monsoon. ऐसा बोला जाता है that Hippalus was the one who discovered monsoon. He gave an idea regarding the monsoon winds. Next is Arikamedu, a port city and the Roman trade center near Pondicherry. Muziris is a Kerala ka port, mainly the spice trading hub, and Barigaza or the Bharuch region in the Gujarat, right? Next is the Sangam age. ठीक है, तो आज हम एंशिएंट तक के कर लेते हैं, देन नेक्स्ट क्लास में वी विल डू द मिडिवल एंड मॉडर्न. ठीक है, सो संगम एज. नाउ संगम एज में it is the Sangam literature. There were three prominent Sangam. The first Sangam where there is no surviving text, and it was led by Agatyar or Saint Agastya, right? The second Sangam, which was again in that particular Sangam, Tolakappiyam, which was written by Tolakappiyar, is only one surviving text. And Tolakappiyam is basically the text on grammar, and Tolakappiyar was the sage who presided the second Sangam, it is said. And the third Sangam, जहाँ के बहुत सारे text, and then there are certain post-Sangam texts which gave an idea regarding the Sangam age. Now, Sangam literature, Aham is basically the type of poetry, that style of poetry which talks about the inner life, means the type of romantic prose. ठीक है, जो king की जो personal life के बारे में बताती है, and then Puram, which talks about his public life, means war, the statecraft, all these things, right? Then there is another term which is prominent from the Sangam literature, Movendar. What is Movendar? Mu means three. In Tamil, Mu means three. So Movendar means three king or three coronated king. Means these represent three prominent coronated kings, those you used to exist simultaneously. There were Chol, there were Chera, there were Pandyas. So Chola, Chera and the Pandyas were the king. Now Tolakappiyam, तोलकप्पियार के द्वारा लिखी गई थी. इट वॉज अ प्रोमिनेंट ग्रामर टेक्स्ट फॉर Tamil. So it was the one of the earliest Tamil grammar. Now another prominent text which is known as Ittu Togai, which is the 8 anthologies, and Pattu Pattu, which is the 10 poems. ठीक है. So ज्यादा बस थोड़ा सा ध्यान रख लो क्योंकि डिफिकल्ट टर्म है. दैट्स व्हाई इट शुड बी हैविंग अ ब्रीफ आइडिया अबाउट. अगर मान लीजिए मेंस में क्वेश्चन आते हैं, प्रीलिम्स में, दिस विल बी मोर देन इनफ. ठीक है, थोड़ा बहुत लिटरेचर के बारे में. सो इत्तु तोगई एंड पट्टू पट्टू आर टोटल, इन टोटल दे आर द 8 plus 10 18 text, and they are known as the 18 major texts, and that's why they are known as the Pathinene Mel Minakku, sorry Mel Kanakku. ठीक है. So they are known as the Pathinene Mel Kinakku. There are two type of text. These are the Mel Kinakku. Mel Kinakku means the major text, and there are Keel Kinakku, which is the lesser text or the other text, and these are the post Sangam text. Pathinene Keel Kinakku, which is the lesser text. So Thiruvalluvar ने जो थिरुकुरल लिखी है, that थिरुकुरल is coming under the Pathinene Keel Kinakku, and Ittu Togai and Pattu Pattu are part of the Pathinene Mel Kinakku. ठीक है. So there is a difference between them. Now there are certain other prominent epics जैसे Silapadikaram by Ilango Adigal. This talks about the story of Kannagi and Kovalan. ठीक है, जहां पे कन्नगी बर्न द इंटायर सिटी ऑफ मदुरई. ठीक है. सो सिलापादुकरम का सीक्वल है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ मनी मेकलाई. मनी मेकलाई वाज द डॉटर ऑफ माधवी एंड कोवालन. ठीक है. एंड देन मनी मेकलाई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट हर कन्वर्जन इनटू बुद्धिज्म. सो हाउ मनी मेकलाई टर्न्ड इनटू अ बुद्धिस्ट नन. सो दिस स्टोरी टॉक्स अबाउट दिस, रिटन बाय सित्तालाई सत्तनार. जनरली ये प्रोमिनेंट टेक्स्ट है जिसके बारे में पूछते हैं. देन देयर आर सर्टेन अदर प्रोमिनेंट टर्म्स जैसे देयर इज नदुक्कल और विरक्कल. दीज आर द हीरो स्टोन फॉर वॉरियर्स. जैसे इफ यू डू समथिंग गुड देयर इज सम काइंड ऑफ मेमोरियल ना, तो उस तरीके का मेमोरियल है. इट इज द नदुक्कल और द विरक्कल, और विरक्कल मीन्स द हीरो स्टोन. देन देयर इज सतीकल, सतीकल सती. सो इट इज टू दोज वीमेन हु हैव डन द सती, फॉर देम देयर वाज द मेमोरियल स्टोन. देन देयर इज Vatta Kiruthal. So this is the ritual suicide. Suppose karo in a fight there is a king who was captured. Now he was getting humiliated. So generally the defeated king performed this particular type of practice which is known as Vatta Kiruthal, which is not having anything, and until you die you follow the penance or a type of fasting, a type of sallekhana type of thing. ठीक है. Suicide by fasting. Megaliths, these are the commemorative stones, generally for burial mounds. Other than that also for commemoration the megaliths were being utilized. Now इसके एक differentiation देख लेना. There were stone cyst, there were stone circle, there were pit burials. different type of megaliths are there. Now next is the Thinai system. Thinai system is basically land division system. आज भी आप देखते हो once the land have to be classified, it is classified, let's say कि कौन ज्यादा फर्टाइल है, then depending upon fertility you are deciding. So this Thinai system is also talking about the 5 type of land. It talks about Kurinji, which is the mountain land. A mountain में you will not be able to do much agriculture. So what might be the more predominant activity? It is the pastoralism. ठीक है. So pastoral activities are predominant. Mullai, which is the forest. Forest में आप क्या कर सकते हो? Hunting and gathering mainly. Marudam, Marudam is the plain region. This is suited for agriculture. Nethal or Nedal, which is the sea. Sea या coastal region में what you can do? Fishing or the fisheries activities. And Palai or the sandy plain. Again, it is going to be dominated by the nomadic people. ठीक है. So Palai, and it is also said that along with these 4, Palai was a temporary classification. Now any place if it is not being done in or used in the agriculture, आप उसको fallow land में छोड़ दोगे, and that will be over a period of time turned into desertification, और वो desertification होके वो desert form में बन जाएगा. So the Palai was a temporary type of classification. Some other terms जैसे कड़ई सियार या अधिमाई. कड़ई सियार और अधिमाई was used for the landless laborers and the slaves. So कड़ई सियार और अधिमाई used for them. Then this is the 4-fold classification. जैसे in the northern part there is a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. There was Anthanar, Arasar, Vanigar and Velalar. Anthanar used to be the Brahmins or the priest. Arasar used to be the rulers or the Kshatriyas. The Vanigars, Vaniya or Baniya, you can say. So they were the Vaishya community, and Velalars were the equivalent to the Shudras, right? So this is the fourth-fold division. Karpu is basically a type of attribute provided to women, which is symbolizing the chastity or purity. So these type of virtues were being respected. मतलब एक society था जहां पे there is a value of karpu which is basically symbolizing the chastity of women. Now another term which is the chattu, which is used for the mobile merchants. Mobile merchants means they used to travel. जैसे बंजारास भी है ना, तो similar to बंजारास these. Then there are umanars which are the salt merchant. Vanikan, that is used for the Vanikan, जो Vanigars है, similar to that there are Vanikans जो कि merchant और traders के लिए German general term है. Then Ulgu is used for the custom duty. Irai as a tribute to king. ठीक है, कुछ term है just to have an idea about. ठीक है, this is बहुत extensive है, just look at them. And if in the prelims, क्योंकि देखो मेंस में तो eventually you will not be able to write. In the prelims, if there is any question, you can utilize through your memory and then you can just use them for elimination, right? Now last we are talking about Gupta. Gupta के बाद we will end. ठीक है, 5-10 मिनट. So Gupta again, क्योंकि कुछ चीजें already चली आ रही है, certain things are already continuing. ठीक है, so after that particular time period of interregnum, चाहे आप देखो तो Indo-Greeks, after that Shaks, Parthians, Kushan, और उसके बाद now the fragmentation is going on. Similarly Indian indigenous empires में Shunga, there are Kanavs, there are Satvans, उसके बाद भी fragmentation है. That's why the stability is going to come next in the Gupta empire, and this is also being depicted as the Gupta era. So Gupta era was roughly attributed 319-320 AD or CE के around. Now there is Prayag Prashasti, which is the Allahabad pillar inscription. ठीक है, so it is said that Harisena has done it for the Samudragupta. So Ashok, Samudragupta, and after that Jahangir. Prayag Prashasti से associated. Fahin arrived during whose reign? अभी इसके बारे में भी question आया था, है ना, last year only. चंद्रगुप्त द्वितीय, he was a Chinese traveler, right? अब अगर मान लीजिए question बोले कि Fahin was associated with the Nalanda, what do you think? Is this a true statement or false? Why? नालंदा कब बनी है? कुमार गुप्त ने बनाई है. कुमार गुप्त was after 3 मतलब अगर आप देखो चंद्रगुप्त द्वितीय के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अगर पूछा, सो ही वाज अ सन ऑफ चंद्रगुप्त द्वितीय. तो अगर आप देखो तो कुमार गुप्त ने अपने रीन में बनवाया, दैट मींस आफ्टर चंद्रगुप्त द्वितीय. सो उस समय पे नालंदा था ही नहीं, राइट? इट वाज हुएनसांग who arrived in the, who came during, मतलब जब नालंदा था, and he arrived in Nalanda. He studied in Nalanda also. Then Huns and Fahin talked about the Chandragupta Dvitiya's rule, and he talked about that the rule was prosperous. The people were enjoying the privileges and all. Huns, they were the Central Asian, again there were invasions continued, and these were the Central Asian tribes. अब देखो, एक बार once the people got to know that there can be invasion in India, we can defeat the king, so there were continuous invasions. जैसे ही अब वो गुप्त के डिक्लाइन का इंतजार कर रहे हैं, once the Gupta will decline, there will be further invasions. So during the time period of Shri Gupta या कुमार गुप्त and the स्कंद गुप्त के time period पे there were further invasions. The Hun arrived, they eventually invaded different territories and they incorporated themselves within the Hindu tradition. So they got assimilated in the Indian society. आप देखोगे whether it is the Indo-Greeks, whether it is Shak, whether it is Parthians, whether it is Kushan, या फिर बाद में Huns, all of them got incorporated. And there is a term known as the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is the term that is being utilized in order to get the higher status in the Kshatriya. Already they were the rulers, so they were to some extent Kshatriya. Now they might not be considered that prominent Kshatriya by the local people. So what they were doing a lot of generous activities. और उससे वो अपना status बढ़ा रहे हैं. So what they are doing, they are getting assimilated in the society. ठीक है? So that was the term used. And Hun were the Central Asian invaders. और गुप्त के डिक्लाइन का एक कारण भी बनते हैं. Then administration में देखिए, Bhukti used to be the province. Bhukti used to be governed by the governor who was Uparika. Then Bhukti was divided into Vishya. Vishya was the district and Vishya was being governed by Vishyapati, जो आज आप देखो तो district collector type. Vithis, Vishya were further somewhere divided, some regions में Vishya was divided into Vithis, so it is the sub district headed by Vithipati. And then Gram, अब देखो Vithi was not a universal unit. भुक्ति एंड विश्व वर देयर, विथिस कुछ कुछ जगहों पर ही थी. सो जहां पर बड़ा डिस्ट्रिक्ट है दैट वाज डिवाइडेड इनटू द सब डिस्ट्रिक्ट. एंड देन देयर वाज ग्राम, ग्राम वाज हेडेड बाय ग्रामिका और ग्राम अध्यक्ष. ठीक है, सो इट इज the gram or the lowest level ka unit. Now there were kumaramatya. Kumar means the prince, so kumaramatya means those particular ministers who were prince also. So generally their sons were appointed at different places in order to govern. Sandhi vigraha is basically the ministry concerned with the treaty and the non following of that particular treaty. So war and peace ka jo ministry hai, that was the ministry of Sandhi vigraha. Mahamatras were the village headmen. ठीक है, so sorry, Mahamatras were the officials there. This is Mahattaras, right? So these are the village elders. आज भी आप देखोगे कई जगहों पर this term is used, Mahattaras, है ना. So Mahattaras are coming from this particular term, which is the village headmen or the village elders, right? Then Samant, feudal lords. Then Nagar Shreshtis. Shreshtis were the guild person, and Nagar means the area of the urban region, right? So it is the head of the merchant guild mainly, or merchant guild active kahan tha? Mainly in the urban region. That's why it is the head of merchant guild in the urban region. Now dinaras were the gold coins of the Gupta. So Gupta के जो gold coins थे, where even we are seeing the photos or the मतलब जो इम्बोर्स था, जो the tradition that were incorporated by the Indo-Greeks, similar traditions Shaks ने लिया, similar traditions was incorporated by Parthians, Kushans, and Gupta also incorporated same tradition. Portrait of the king was depicted, and during the time period of Chandragupta Ditiya, he along with his wife also being depicted on the coins. So dinar were the coins. Vishti was the begar or the forced labor that was being imposed. ठीक है. Agrahara were the land. Now the land donation during the time period of even Satvahans, because Satvahan claimed themselves to be the prominent Brahmins, and Gautami Putra Shatkarni is considered to be one such prominent individual who said that I am going to restore the Brahminical order or the older Vedic order. So they started the practice, and that practice got continued during the time period of Gupta. And the Agrahara land were that particular type of land which is also known as Brahmadeya, yeah, the land given to the Brahmins. Then there are Devagraha or Devdana, means given to the temple or donated towards the god. Devdana या फिर Devagraha, right? Art and architecture में Nagar style of temple architecture predominantly, and certain features later on the Dravid style of temple architecture have also taken from this. So Nagar for northern style, Dravid for the southern style, Vesara for the hybrid Deccan region, which was then later on mastered by the rulers like the Chalukyas, and बाद में होयसालास ने भी कुछ कुछ फीचर्स उसके अडॉप्ट किए. किरीट मुकुट इज बेसिकली द क्राउन ऑफ गॉड विष्णु. सो जो इस तरीके का कॉनिकल टाइप का मुकुट रहता है, दैट इज नोन एज द किरीट मुकुट. नाउ दिस इज द टेम्पल टाइप ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर विच इवेंचुअली evolved during the time period of Chandela rule, but इसका जो initiation था that was there in the Gupta period. So there are certain terms. अब देखो यहां पे जो आपको नहीं दिख रहा है, ये जो बेस है, this is the base that is known as the जगती. ये जगती कहलाता है, नीचे वाला जो अप्रेज्ड प्लेटफॉर्म है. नाउ these are the staircases. तो मंदिर का जो बेस है वो यहां से शुरू है, from here, and this particular region is known as अधिष्ठान. Part of temple. There is a confusion between Jagati and Adhisthana. Jagati is the bottom portion, which is the base. Adhisthana is the part of temple only, जो कि carved भी होता है, and that is the part of temple, जो कि uplifted part है, बस उतना. Then there is going to be this particular मंडप, यहां से आप एंटर करोगे. This is generally known as sometime, अगर ये आधा बना हुआ है, it is अर्ध मंडप, and sometime it is also known as मुख मंडप, क्योंकि this is for the first time you are going to have the साक्षात of deity, मतलब आप सामने देखने वाले हो डीटी को. Now this is मुख और द अर्ध मंडप, then this is मंडप, this is महामंडप. ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं है, ये कोई यूनिवर्सल क्लासिफिकेशन नहीं है. All of these are मंडप only. Now if there are 3 मंडप, एक बहुत बड़ा है वो महामंडप हो गया, दूसरा छोटा है मंडप हो गया, सबसे छोटा है अर्ध मंडप बोल दिया. So that's not the universal classification. ठीक है, these all are मंडप्स for different purposes. Ritual purposes हो सकता है, offerings हो सकता है. If it is for offering, it is भोग मंडप. If it is for the dance performance, it is नाट्य मंडप. Right? Different type of मंडप्स होते हैं। नाउ इन बिटवीन दीज मंडप्स एंड द मेन टेम्पल, अगर जो मेन आप गर्भगृह देखो तो ये एक प्लेस होता है विच इज नोन एज द अंतराल और द इंटरवल, एक छोटा सा थोड़ा टुवर्ड्स डार्कनेस, बिकॉज फ्रॉम लाइट नाउ यू आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द डार्कनेस। एंड व्हाई डार्कनेस? बिकॉज दिस रीजन, जो ये अंदर वाला रीजन है, सैंक्टम सैंक्टोरम, दैट इज नोन एज द गर्भगृह. So in order to depict exactly like the womb-like situation, it is shown with the complete darkness. So that, and there will be a diya which is lightened near the deity. That means there is only one light. There is only one reality, and this is that reality. The deity is that reality. So this is the Garbhagriha. Here it is the Pradakshina Path. Now the temples with the Pradakshina Path are known as Sandhara. Sandhara are the temple which are with the Pradakshina Path. There are another set of temple which are known as Nirandhara. Nirandhara are the temple which are not having Pradakshina Path. If the temple is open from all the side, it is known as Sarvato Bhadra. Sarvato Bhadra is the term that is used if temple is open from all four sides. Now after that there is this particular thing, Shikhar. Now in the Shikhar you are seeing certain half Shikhar which are known as the Uru Shikhar or Uru Shranga. This is depicting Mount Meru. Again जैसे हमने बुद्धिज्म में देखा था, this is like the cosmic axis. यहाँ पे आप देखोगे there is a circular ribbed disc and that particular disc is known as Amlak. Over Amlak there is a Kalash. In the southern style, this is known by the name of Viman, pyramidal one, which is the Viman. And that particular Viman will have the crowning element over that. उसको शिखर भी बोला जाता है, उसे स्तूपिका भी कहा जाता है. That is also known by the name of Shikhar and the Stupika. Now the next is like there are different type of Shikhar. Latina style, जहां पे curvilinear type of structure होता है. Famsana, stepped pyramidal type of structure, and Vallabhi, vaulted type of structure. You can see the vaulted type of structure, right? Chaityagraha we have seen already. Prayer hall, Vihar, monastery, Shikhar, tower, we have already seen these particular terms. Panchayatan is the layout, central shrine, and then there are 4 subsidiary shrine, that is the Panchayatan style. Next, administration में there are आयुक्त. आयुक्त आज भी यूज होता है, that is for the collector, right? So official in charge of the administrative duties. Then there are Dandapashika, so law enforcement official, Dandapashika, right? Then there is Mahadandanayak, means high end जो judicial official है, that is the, or high end military official, that is the Mahadandanayak. Then Baladhikrita, bal used for the army, so it is the high official in the army. Senapati, head of that particular army or commander in chief. Uparika Maharaj, Uparika is for the provinces. So Uparika में जो महाराज है, now why Uparika में there will be Maharaj? Because sometimes those feudal lords also claim to be the king ना, कि हम subsidiary है लेकिन हम हमारे में तो king है, right? So these are the Uparika Maharaj. Generally these were being held by those people जो कि या तो crown prince हैं या फिर maybe कोई prominent leader है उस जगह के. Then there are certain things with respect to the economy. Udrang is basically the land tax. हम देख रहे थे अभी तक भाग. Now the term got changed. Here it is the Udrang. Then there are Upari Kara. Upari means ऊपर का कर या ऊपर से जो टैक्स लेते हैं, which is extra above the this particular Udrang tax. Then there is Hali Vakra. Hali comes from Hal. Hal means plow, so it is the tax on plow. Vishti is the forced labor, already we have seen. Brahmadeya, the land grant to the Brahmins, generally the tax-free land. Puga, Puga is used for the guild structure. So जैसे श्रेणी है वैसे ही एक और guild structure था, which is Puga. Then another term which is the Nigam. Nigam is used for the market town or the trading center. Now trade में there is Shreni. Now Nigam we have seen for the marketing town. So basically it is the assembly of the merchants of that particular town. Shreshti or Shetty is the merchants. Generally they are the money lenders also, the money lending community भी थी. Then there is Roman Orai. Orai is basically with respect to the coins it is used. So it is the Roman gold coins. So it is Roman gold coins found in India. So it gives an idea regarding the trade. Bhogika is the like the Bhoop ya Bhoop. So that is the village chief. Then Karnika is the record keeper or the scribes. And Adhikarna, Adhikarna is the administrative authority. ठीक है, कुछ सिमिलर लुकिंग टर्म है. भोगिका इज फॉर द विलेज हेडमैन टाइप, कर्णिका इज फॉर द स्क्राइब एंड अधिकर्ण इज फॉर द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव और द जुडिशियल अथॉरिटी. आई थिंक कितना कितना और है, हाँ ओके इतना ही है बस. सो नेक्स्ट इज अगेन यूपीएससी का फेवरेट टॉपिक अराघट्टा. 2 बार पूछ लिया आई थिंक 15 एंड 25. ठीक है, अराघट्टा इज बेसिकली ट्रेडिशनल वाटर लिफ्टिंग डिवाइस. देयर इज अ व्हील, पर्शियन व्हील टाइप, और उसमें घटिकाज लगे हुए हैं. सो इट इज अटैच्ड ऑन दैट एंड देन दैट इज यूज्ड फॉर द पुलिंग ऑफ द वाटर. देन Shao Nano Shao is the title that is being utilized by Kushans, king of the kings, and then they have also taken the titles of the Devaputra. ठीक है, सो कुशान जो रूलर्स है तो उसमें जो कनिष्क का जो इंस्क्रिप्शन था, देयर यू गॉट टू सी शाओ नानो शाहो द कनिष्क कुशानो, मींस द राजाओं का राजा कनिष्क, हु इज द कुशान रूलर, राइट. Maharajadiraj, king of the kings. Param Bhagavat, it is to give the religious attribute, means he is the upholder of the Bhagavatism, means Vaishnavism. Param Daivata means the supreme God, means getting the legitimacy from the supreme God. Now you will see that during the Islamic invasions also, they are taking their legitimacy from the caliphs. Caliphs were the representative of God, right? So like that, it is the ensuring legitimacy. Ekrat as a paramount sovereign, right? Chakravartin means the universal ruler. रिलीजन फिलोसफी में भागवतिज्म फॉर द वैष्णविज्म और अर्ली फॉर्म ऑफ वैष्णविज्म. अब यहां पर जो इनिशियल टाइम पीरियड पे था, इट वाज नॉट एग्जैक्टली वैष्णविज्म, इट वाज भागवतिज्म. Later on, it got solidified in the form of Vaishnavism and Shaivism during the time period of the Alvars and the Nayanars, right? Puranic Hinduism, it is the primitive form of Hinduism. Now, already we have seen Yavan for the Greeks, and next is the Vratya Kshatriya. देखो, एक तो हो गया जो as per the जो आपका Vedic text है Kshatriya, the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and then there are other who came to India who ruled over this particular region, got assimilated, and then now they are claiming the Kshatriya status. So they are the outsiders who have got assimilated in the Kshatriya Varna. So for the Kushans, for the Shaks, for the Parthians, for Huns, this particular term is used, the Vratya Kshatriya. ठीक है? So these are the terms with respect to the your Gupta period, right? So majority of the thing with respect to ancient we have covered. Only हर्ष वाला period रह गया है, but ठीक है, we will cover in the next class. एक और session लेंगे जिसमें we'll try to cover the remaining aspect, क्योंकि अभी unnecessary it's not, हाँ ना, possible भी नहीं है for me also and also for you. तो आज this particular thing will get uploaded अभी, ठीक है, कुछ time में. This thing is extensive, I would again say extensive. पूरी चीज याद नहीं होंगी, but just have an idea about. सोचो कि यूपीएससी पूछ कैसे सकता है. And the thing that I have tried to arrange in this class is to give you application कि किस तरीके से यूपीएससी can ask. Now this much is good to go. Terms के regarding, and we have eventually we have tried to do the revision also. है ना? तो it's not like restricted to terms. We have also talked about the further aspects. Now from the post Gupta period till the Mughal time period, और मुगल के बाद भी देर है विजयनगर, बहमानी एंड मराठास, एंड देन समथिंग विद रिस्पेक्ट टू मॉडर्न में भी देख लेंगे. सो लेट्स सी इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास, मोस्ट प्रोबेबली इन द नेक्स्ट, तो आई विल नॉट बी देयर, विल प्लान, ठीक है, जल्दी नेक्स्ट क्लास पार्ट 2 वेयर वी विल कवर द रेस्ट ऑफ द टर्म्स. ठीक है, चलो, थैंक यू एवरीवन, हैव अ ग्रेट डे.
Every UPSC result proves one thing quietly: success does not begin at the final stage. It begins much earlier, with the kind of foundation a student builds. The UPSC CSE 2025 result makes that visible again. 10 candidates in the top 100 prepared through the Vision IAS GS Foundation Classroom course, including AIR 5 Nishan Bhatnagar. That kind of result is not built on motivation alone. It is built on the right sequence, the right guidance, and the right correction. This is what the Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course is designed for. Concept first classroom learning, so preparation is not scattered. Early answer writing and testing, so improvement starts on time. PT 365 and Mains 365, so current affairs become usable in the exam. And mentorship that keeps preparation aligned, focused and accountable. Because in UPSC, hard work is common. Structured preparation is what creates separation. If you are targeting UPSC 2027, start by building your base the right way. Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course. Upcoming classroom batches at Karol Bagh, 24th March at 5 p.m., 30th March at 8 a.m. and 7th April at 11 a.m. At GTB Nagar, 17th March at 8 a.m. and 25th March at 6 p.m. Register at our website or call us on the given numbers.
यूपीएससी 2027 का लक्ष्य जितना बड़ा है उसे पाने की योजना भी उतनी ही स्पष्ट और संगठित होनी चाहिए। विजन आईएएस लेकर आया है क्लासरूम फाउंडेशन कोर्स 2027 के 12 से 14 महीनों का एक ऐसा सुव्यवस्थित कार्यक्रम है जहां आपकी तैयारी एक अनुशासित और वैज्ञानिक ढांचे में आगे बढ़ती है। यहाँ क्लासरूम लर्निंग के साथ साथ आपको मिलता है लाइव और रिकॉर्डेड सेशंस का विकल्प, जिसे आप अपने व्यक्तिगत ऑनलाइन पोर्टल के माध्यम से कभी भी और कहीं भी एक्सेस कर सकते हैं। तैयारी के सफर को और भी प्रभावी बनाती है हमारी व्यक्तिगत क्लासरूम मेंटरिंग। हमारे एक्सपर्ट मेंटर्स नियमित मार्गदर्शन और स्मार्ट स्टडी मैनेजमेंट के जरिए आपकी तैयारी को एक सही दिशा और गति प्रदान करते हैं। शैक्षणिक दृष्टिकोण से देखें तो यह कोर्स मुख्य परीक्षा के सामान्य अध्ययन के चारों प्रश्न पत्रों, सीसेट और निबंध का व्यापक कवरेज सुनिश्चित करता है। विषयों की समसामयिक समझ विकसित करने के लिए मासिक करंट अफेयर्स मैगजीन और रिवीजन क्लासेस के साथ साथ पीटी 365 और मेंस 365 की विशेष कक्षाएं भी इस कार्यक्रम का अनिवार्य हिस्सा हैं, ताकि स्टैटिक और करंट अफेयर्स के बीच एक सटीक संतुलन बना रहे। तैयारी की गहराई मापने के लिए निरंतर अभ्यास अनिवार्य है, इसलिए डेली असाइनमेंट और साप्ताहिक मिनी टेस्ट के साथ साथ मासिक प्रीलिम्स और मेंस टेस्ट के माध्यम से आपकी प्रगति का निरंतर आकलन किया जाता है। इस कार्यक्रम की शक्ति है हमारी प्रतिष्ठित ऑल इंडिया टेस्ट सीरीज, जिसमें प्रीलिम्स के 35, मेंस के 30, सीसेट के 25 और निबंध के 5 टेस्ट का समावेश है। साथ ही संधान पोर्टल पर 25,000 से अधिक प्रश्नों का विशाल संग्रह आपके अभ्यास और विश्लेषण को और भी सुदृढ़ बनाता है। अब समय है अपनी मेहनत को एक मजबूत, संरचित और निरंतर प्रक्रिया में ढालने का। विजन आईएएस के साथ जुड़े और यूपीएससी 2027 की अपनी सफलता की राह को एक स्पष्ट दिशा दें।
Prelims is in 3 months. This is where preparation shifts, not from studying to stopping, but from expanding to consolidating. At this stage, what matters most is strengthening core areas, fixing weak zones, analyzing mistakes deeply, stabilizing mock scores, refining your attempt strategy. That is exactly where the Lakshya Prelims Mentoring Program plays a decisive role, offering structured direction, performance correction, and continuous guidance when execution matters the most. Starting from 23rd February, Lakshya supports this critical phase with a focused revision roadmap, personalized tests and competitive quizzes, 25,000 plus curated Sandhan questions, data-driven performance analytics, mentor guidance till the exam. Lakshya is not about studying more, it's about executing better with expert guidance. To know more or register, visit our website or call us on the given numbers. You're ready to face prelims head on, because prelims is not just about knowledge, it's about performance under pressure. That's where Abhyas, the All India Prelims GS plus CSAT mock test comes in. Designed as a true exam simulation, Abhyas recreates the real UPSC. Prelims experience the same pattern, the same time constraints and the same intensity. It places you in a national arena, competing with aspirants across India, backed by an all-India ranking that reveals your true standing. Attempted by 1 in 3 top 50 rankers, Abhyas has become a trusted benchmark for serious aspirants. With detailed post-test analysis, live discussions and complete syllabus coverage in both English and Hindi, it ensures your preparation is not just extensive but exam ready. 3 full-length offline simulations will be conducted across 100 plus cities on 5th April, 19th April and 10th May. From 9:30 am to 11:30 am for General Studies, that is paper 1, and 2:30 pm to 4:30 pm for CSAT, that's paper 2. Challenge your preparation, test your performance. For more information or register, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
All serious aspirants are able to solve polity, economy and geography questions in the prelims. But when it comes to ancient and medieval history and art and culture, everyone stands on the same platform. Whether you are a fresher or a repeater, attempts don't matter here. Most aspirants end up guessing answers, relying on vague recall and finally getting stuck in a dicey zone near the cutoff. And it is exactly here where margins matter, that marks are lost or gained. To create a clear edge over the cutoff, Vision IAS Prelims Speed Up is for you. The real challenge with history and culture is not effort but direction. Multiple sources, overlapping facts, confusing timelines and factual overload make these subjects risky. UPSC further complicates things by framing indirect elimination-based questions, where partial knowledge often backfires. As a result, even well-prepared aspirants hesitate at crucial moments. Prelims Speeder is designed as a 20-day last-mile score booster to solve this exact problem. Instead of broad coverage, the program focuses only on high-yield areas that UPSC repeatedly asks in ancient history, medieval history, and art and culture. The emphasis is on conceptual clarity, chronology, and intelligent linkage, so facts finally start making sense together. With concept-driven classes, the course tells you what to remember, what to ignore, and how to apply. Structured daily practice and tests train your mind for elimination, helping you avoid traps and guess less. The Smart Source consolidated content removes the burden of multiple books and speeds up the revision. In just 20 focus classes for ancient and medieval history and art and culture, Prelims Speed Up converts static confusion into scoring confidence. If you want to move from cutoff anxiety to cutoff safety in Prelims 2026, this program gives you that decisive edge. Join today to get this